Hello and welcome back to the Matt Cinema Show. As always, we are your hosts, Scott G.
And Phil D.
So, Philip, I don't know if you've noticed this giant machine that I have here. Like,
no,
I just kind of...
I see it.
I snuck it in last night, while you were sleeping.
Okay.
And put it up. But I don't really know what it does, but let's see what it does right here. Whoa, where'd you come from?
Hi, my name's Levi. I came from the anime dimension to talk about anime. Thank you.
Woo!
Add anime sound effects later.
Yeah. But heck yeah, man. So it looks like now we have our first guest, Philip.
This is the first guest.
This is the first guest.
Number one guest.
I'm the third part of Hakujin, guys.
Woo!
He's our favorite guest.
He is. Levi, awesome to have you on this episode. We're going to be talking about full-length anime films. We decided to kind of pick 3 each, and we're going to kind of go around the room later in the episode and kind of talk about them, kind of how we feel about them, what was the first time we watched them, how,
Absolutely.
Yeah. So, we were going to start the show with live-action adaptation of anime.
Yeah, so I kind of just want to talk about a couple that have already happened at this point.
Yeah.
Because, most of them have been meh. Some of them have been pretty good.
Okay.
Yeah.
I
think there's one in particular for me that stands out, though, above all others, and I watched it the other night, and this is why I wanted to talk about this, is Speed Racer.
Oh, yeah.
Speed Racer is the best adaptation of an anime to Western film ever. It's perfect.
I still haven't seen that.
I'll have to let you borrow it, man, but it's so good.
I
Wachowski brothers.
Oh, okay,
Yeah.
Cool.
Are the Wachowski sisters now?
Oh, yeah. Sorry. The Wachowskis.
The Wachowskis.
The Wachowskis. Yeah.
I could definitely get behind that one. That one
so good.
Definitely plays a lot more to the cartoony side, of course, but it was like really cartoony series. So
yes.
it just works as an adaptation.
But it also uses some of the inherent anime tropes that everybody knows, like manga space and like just stepping into another area where the background being a completely different thing from what's happening for the characters.
Yeah.
The way that they animate some scenes, they kind of make it where it's real people, but they're not moving realistically in the background, and it almost seems like low frame rate animation from like the 60s and 70s and shit.
Totally.
It's great. It's really great.
It's real fast paced, real fun time. You'll enjoy it.
Absolutely. Yeah. It's F-Zero the movie.
Pretty much.
Which there's another F-Zero the movie that I want to talk about later, but so more anime to film. What do you guys think?
I got a good one. Okay, so based on a manga, Battle Royale.
Oh, man.
Battle Royale was actually pretty good.
Love that one.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that was
absolutely.
really good. I've been reading that book, actually. The book itself is really good.
Yeah.
Cool. But the one I've seen that I personally liked the most was Edge of Tomorrow.
Oh.
I know that isn't technically anime. That's still like, a book series and manga and stuff like that. But that was based on, what was that, All You Need Is Kill?
Yeah.
No way.
Yeah, and it's that Tom Cruise movie that came out and no one fucking saw. But
Fucking yeah, dude, I have that fucking manga. Holy
Yeah,
shit.
dude.
I was like, why does that sound familiar? Oh, because I've read that.
Because you,
Yeah.
yeah.
it just works. And
I
like
remember you
it kinda,
telling about me when you did that.
Yeah.
well, it kind of made me think is like instead of like, you know, a remake or just a like straightforward adaptation. I mean, I think the only way that a lot of anime and manga are going to work as far as like a Western production is if you kind of trick people into thinking that it's something else, like change the name. That way they're not comparing it to the source material.
Yeah, well,
the whole time.
I had no idea that's what that was trying to do.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And I
Well,
found out from Picklepedia.
Yeah. Well, I mean, then there's stuff that just kind of blatantly takes from anime and makes film out of it, like fucking Pacific Rim.
The Matrix.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You know,
So that just borrows concepts. And
just
then,
hey, let me have this. You know, absolutely, yeah.
Exactly.
It's a Street Fighter 2 clone.
Yeah, you know, Equilibrium almost seems like it would be
And talk about an underrated sci-fi flick.
Ooh, and another one in my boy in it.
Yeah.
Old Christian Bale, psychopath bastard, love you.
But another one that's on the opposite side of the spectrum, the Fist of the North Star movie is just kind of bobo.
Oh, so that shit came out in '95 from what I was looking at on here. I forgot it came out that early, but I mean, just the main character. Just if you guys haven't seen this, just go look him up. He actually more looks like a knockoff Akuma than he does Kenshiro.
Yeah.
So, out of curiosity, because we've all seen bits and pieces of this, if not the whole movie, where did you guys see it?
On TV.
Yeah.
Right, but where? Do you remember? What about you? Do you remember?
Oh man, I was at my
Skiffy, bro.
house.
Sci-fi.
What?
It was a
Oh,
sci-fi
yeah.
it was a sci-fi channel.
Oh man.
Skiffy.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's bad.
It's bad.
It's not good. The original movie is so good. Aren't they doing like they're doing like another version. They're doing like a remake of that here soon. I think
I have no idea.
Didn't they do one not too long ago though?
Well, the current series that's going on right now is a reboot of Soten no Kin, which is the prequel series that centers around the brother of Ryukin, who is Kenshiro's master.
Yeah.
Oh.
So he's the 62nd successor, Ryukin's the 63rd successor, Kenshiro's the 64th successor.
Okay. Gotcha.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's one of those that's like, I mean, if you're a fan of the series, you're going to watch it because you love the content, but it is in 3D, it's all CG, and it's kind of choppy and
so it's
kind
of like the Berserk.
Yeah, it's kind of worse though. Yeah,
really?
yeah, it's kind of choppy and weird.
Like you have to kind of bleach your eyes afterwards.
Yeah.
Kind of thing. Yeah.
But if you really want to see all those cool special attacks and all that, you're gonna watch
exactly.
it.
You're gonna watch it anyway.
Yeah.
That's the way I feel about the Berserk series. That's exactly how I feel about it. Like I don't care that it's less quality than I want it to be.
It's still a good
story. The one thing that bugs me
Mm-hmm.
about that though is that which sure, whatever. We could all sit around all day long and shit on CG because it's not as good as actual 2D animation.
We all know this,
right? But there's such a distinct difference between the Golden Age arc movies and then the new series. So it's kind of like
yeah, because the Golden Age arc movies actually had scenes that were all hand drawn, and then they would supplement with 3D.
Yeah,
and that worked perfectly.
Yeah. So that in that respect, I'm a little more let down than I would be if those weren't the same.
Those are hard to pump out.
Well, and ultimately, like I've seen especially a lot of anime recently that are fully CG that are actually look really good and actually play to a lot better to the 2D style.
Well, man, what bugs me about that whole CG anime not looking good, is Dragon Ball Fighters looks amazing. Yeah, and that's a game, okay, and they've perfectly got those characters down. Like every angle. Like I was looking at a picture of original Goku because they're releasing original Goku and original Vegeta as other, which I don't understand why they need another version of Goku Vegeta, but whatever. But it's like the he's holding his fingers in this very specific way at the camera, and every angle of him just looks like exactly what you would see in the manga or the anime. It's flawless. Every curve, every outline, it looks just like it as a still. I couldn't tell that it wasn't anime.
Nice.
Damn.
Yeah. Why can't we do that in film. Why
Right.
can't people just use Unreal Engine 4 apparently to make anime movies and shows? You know.
So to get back.
Sorry.
No, you're good. Just
Mini rant.
So you guys have seen Dragon Ball Evolution, right?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
That's a bad one.
That's a real bad.
Was that the one that came out in like the late 2000s?
Yeah.
And it's like Chow Yun Fat is
Chow Yun Funk Fat is Chow Yun Funk.
Chow Yun Funk.
Chow Yun Funk, man.
Chow My
His,
Let's
Funk.
take a moment to
master
talk
roach.
about Chow Yun Funk.
He came out slapping the bass.
Yeah, dude.
And hard boiled dog.
Hard boiled
All day long.
That's that Chow Yun Funk. See, it's when you leave them hard boiled eggs out too long, you get that Chow Yun Funk.
That Chow Yun Funk. Yeah, but that was real bad. I actually went to the theaters to see that one. And when I walked into the theater, nobody was there.
Damn.
I was the only person there.
Man.
I
And
remember-
like as soon as the movie started, I was just like, yeah, okay, this is why.
That happened with the DOA movie for me,
Oh yeah.
Oh man.
which, to
I
be
forgot
honest,
about the DOA movie.
isn't that bad because
You should have forgotten about
DOA isn't a serious thing, so the story was about on par with any shit that was in that game.
Yeah.
But at the same time, bad movie, you know.
Yeah. So it was a better adaptation for being a
Yes.
bad movie,
Yeah.
essentially.
That's right. Yeah, that's right. Yeah. Well, that's my Mortal Kombat argument.
Oh yeah.
Hey, have
Yeah.
you done an episode on video game adaptations of movies?
No, not
No,
yet.
but we
Maybe
will.
eventually. Yeah.
You should do one, dude. Yeah,
Yeah,
so we
definitely.
could rap about that shit all
Oh,
day
yeah,
long,
dude,
dude.
yeah.
The
Uh-huh.
goddamn Double Dragon movie.
Oh
man.
sweet.
I love that.
Yep.
They're just feeding that dude spinach, just shoving it down his face.
So, speaking of Hokuto no Ken, who would you guys cast for
Kenshiro?
for a live action movie?
All right, well, hold up. We need to preface this because
Yeah.
obviously, if there was going to be a live action Hokuto no Ken,
Yeah.
it would make sense to have Japanese actors.
It would,
But
yeah.
we don't know Japanese actors
We don't.
because we're white guys.
Right.
So this is if Americans were going to make the movie.
Yeah,
Right.
and we would you just go ahead and dream that it's going to be good.
Yeah.
yeah. Let's pretend it's gonna be good.
Pretend.
The writing the studio's supportive.
Yeah.
They're giving them all the money in the world to make the movie that we
Yeah.
all want to see.
Yeah.
So who would we cast?
Yeah, because the number one person that I was thinking first was Rao would
Oh.
be Dolph Lundgren.
Dolph Lundgren.
Yeah,
Yeah.
man.
He looks really shitty these days, but I think Mickey Rourke would have also been a good Rao.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah,
You know,
Totally.
maybe like 10 years ago or so.
yeah, but he's a monster now.
yeah.
Yeah.
He looks
Well, that could
emaciated.
they could like de-age him and clean
Oh, yeah.
him up a little
Give him
bit,
that Digital Bridges look.
Oh yeah.
That's a Tron reference, y'all.
Digital bridges.
Digital bridges.
They did that Digital Stewart in the X-Men movies too.
Oh yeah. Whew, that was bad.
Digital Stewart.
But I know we were talking about it beforehand. Kenshiro, definitely Tom Hardy.
Yeah, man, that's the best that I was coming up with.
Yeah.
The absolute best I was coming up with. Tom
Yeah.
Hardy. Yeah.
Well, I mean, he does such a good job of Mad Max.
Mhm.
Was kind of the main reason.
He does
that-
such a good job of fighting covered in butter.
pretty
naked.
much.
He was very good at that. That's right.
Nah, well, when Phil initially brought this up, we both were kind of thinking about Kenshiro and, said Christian Bale, but then I was like, wait a minute, though. Although that would be good, I think Christian Bale would be better as Jaggy because
Yeah.
Jaggy's off his fucking rocker.
Oh,
just
yeah.
obsessed, overtly jealous, of
Yeah.
Ken being the successor.
Yeah.
Well, and
and-
his face
yeah.
is already fucked up. That's why he wears the mask because,
Yeah.
he's the mask is holding it in place from
Totally.
where Ken already fucked him up.
Yeah, exactly.
That was my
Well, and
favorite
I-
voice in the game.
Well, I
Jaggy.
also think, in Hokuto no Ken in Fist of the North Star, most of the characters are kind of big, buff dudes, and
Which
it's
is
like,
which
Bulk
is kind of
masters,
hilarious
yeah.
because
Yeah.
okay, post-apocalypse, you'd think food would be scarce, but
Yeah.
everybody's like 8 feet tall, and
It's
And
because
swole.
the only thing that was left was the stacks of food in GNCs, so everybody's just
and
that's-
fighting.
And I also love how it's like everything, like majority of the world that's portrayed looks like desert and there's no
Yeah.
water,
Yeah.
but everybody's wearing leather.
yeah, it's fine. Don't worry about it.
Yeah.
You just
But what I was getting at with that is casting Christian Bale as Jaggy
Yeah.
as kind of a skinnier dude
Mhm.
wouldn't be that wouldn't be that bad. I mean,
No.
I think it would play into the psychological aspect of him a little bit better.
And he can at least look
Yeah.
semi, buff. He just doesn't look. He's just not huge.
Yeah, no, he
he's
wouldn't
just
be
not,
like,
because he was, especially in the last Batman.
he was getting swole.
He was getting pretty big. Yeah.
So that would be good.
Yeah. Absolutely. Clancy Brown
Clancy Brown.
for Thowther.
Oh, yeah.
Souza.
Yeah, Thowther. Thowther.
Great.
I just want to say Mario Van Peebles for literally anybody
Oh yeah,
because
because Mario Van Peebles.
exactly.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
No, but for Toki, I think Shia LaBeouf. I think that,
Yeah.
I think that
Yeah.
Yeah.
yeah. Just dye his hair white, whatever.
Yeah.
You know, he could
And-
he could be killing people with the compassionate fist and being all sad about it.
Yeah. Shia LaBeouf could totally play sad. You just gotta calm down his spaz tangents. That's the only thing. Do it.
I love that video. It's great.
Yeah, see, Shia LaBeouf can get ripped too. So
And what was it? Ray.
Yeah, Ray. Yeah,
Jake Gyllenhaal.
yeah.
yeah.
Kind of left field, out of nowhere actor that's actually kind of good. It could probably actually pull that part off.
Yeah, Ray was awesome, man.
Yeah, dude.
Slicing and dicing.
I love that.
That's what I always think of. Knife hands.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yep.
And then, just to throw a curveball at you guys, speaking of Ray, that reminds me, who I would cast for Devil Rebirth, Ray Park.
Oh, yeah.
Because obviously he's the same size.
Yeah.
I mean, they cast him as
Oh,
Rugal.
they
Why not?
cast
Why
him
not
as
cast him as
fucking
Devil Rebirth?
Rugal.
That would be perfect.
Man,
That'd be
have you ever
awesome.
seen that King of Fighters movie?
Yeah.
Woo.
Whew, yeah. It's.
Woo. Man, they
But
could have made a.
You know what's worse than that? The Tekken movie. Have you ever seen
They're
that
all.
one?
I've seen the
that
Tekken
one's
anime.
Real bad.
The Tekken anime is.
Oh,
okay.
there's an anime.
Yeah.
Yeah.
See, there's a couple of really good Street Fighter animes.
Yeah.
Oh, dude. The
Street Fighter 2
iconic
one
Street Fighter 2 anime
is
dope,
amazing,
dude.
but there's also one that's that's Ken and Ryu training, and the Gauki situation and all that kind of stuff. It's very cool. Like
That's cool.
Yeah, and and there's the whole parts of like when Gauki was becoming, the Satsu no Hado.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Kuma.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. That's what that live action series.
Exactly,
Yeah.
yeah.
It's based on, and it's
Yeah.
really good.
Yeah,
actually.
that has a different perspective on the
Yeah.
same thing, but it's the same
story.
arc.
Yeah,
same
same
arc.
arc.
Man,
Yeah.
it's
that one's
that's
really
my favorite
good.
shit about Street Fighter right there. And I
Yeah.
feel like that's not so much a thing anymore. But
But going back to Fist of the North Star movie, all I have to say, if there's not a point in that film where there's a scene that Kenshiro is literally walking through a falling building, it's no, you're doing it wrong at that point. Just bust up out of the ground and literally walk through a building towards a guy he's about to tear up.
Well, and this is a weird one too, but have you guys seen that that Arthur Legend of the Sword or whatever it is?
No.
The one that was made by Guy Ritchie?
Yeah, I have seen that one.
You have?
Yeah.
So I wasn't so sure on it at first.
Mm-hmm.
And then I really started just appreciating how different the action sequences are in that film. Because if anything, they're shot in such a way that it kind of feels like old school Guy Ritchie cut and slash.
It definitely has that Guy Ritchie feel.
But he does
about it.
this weird 3D effect thing where it's like, because do you remember at the end how it would basically like matrix around, and pan around in the middle of so it would like slow down, but then it would also shift position as it slowed down, and it would do this in and out thing.
Yeah,
that directing style might be really cool for a Hokuto no Ken.
That
as
might
well.
be good.
Just that
So
the way that battle.
Get Guy Ritchie to do
maybe
do a Fist of the North Star.
What if everybody was British?
Oh.
Whoa.
Christian Bale is British,
Yeah.
so you could just make everybody
Tom
pull
Hardy's-
off.
Tom
Hardy's British.
Yeah.
I thought Bale was Australian.
No. Oh, is he?
I think so, man.
Really?
Maybe.
Huh.
Ask Funny Man.
I thought he was English. Let's find out.
Let's see.
Oh.
But Guy Ritchie directing Hokuto no Ken.
Yeah.
that might actually be really cool.
Yeah, he's English.
It's all right, Hollywood. Get on this. We know you're listening.
They listen to us regularly.
Yeah, all the time.
Definitely.
They're like, damn, y'all, Mad Cinemists said we need to do this.
I've actually had to block Hollywood.
Hollywood, leave us
all
alone.
of Hollywood.
Stop
Off
raping
my
me,
phone.
Hollywood.
Yeah.
Me too.
Just, man, could you just stop texting and
Hollywood has become inappropriate.
all right, so you guys want to move on? You guys want to talk about these movies?
Oh, I just wanted to say real quick, as far as live action, adaptations of anime, I really liked the Gaiva movies. When I was a child.
Dude, the Guyver movies.
David Hayter.
Yeah, Dave. Yeah, fucking Solid Snake fighting
man.
Zoonoids. It's awesome. Oh, and Mark Hamill was in the first one.
Yeah, he was the detective.
Yeah.
Yep.
Those were good.
And what's really funny is you remember the box.
The art.
Yeah, the box art.
Yeah,
it was just like Mark Hamill's face and the Guyver.
Yes.
So when I first saw it, I rented it from Blockbuster way back in the day.
Oh yeah.
And I was just like, oh, Mark Hamill's the Guyver, and I watched it and I'm just like, who's this fucking fool?
Yeah. Yeah.
A hind D.
Yeah, that's who it is. Yeah.
No.
What's a Russian gunship doing here?
So anyways, guys, I asked you guys to pick a couple movies that you wanted to talk about. Who wants to go first?
Yeah, so I guess we should do like a round robin.
Round robin.
Yeah, that makes sense.
And we'll just do, so save your favorite for last, guys.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay, I'm going to start up this one then, if you don't mind.
Yeah, go ahead.
Because I want to talk about a movie that I know a bunch of people have seen. I know it's a big deal. But it's also not part of a prolific series. Like there's only 2 films: Vampire Hunter D, Bloodlust.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's one of my most iconic films. That is my favorite vampire period, and I'm not talking about D. I'm talking about Meyer Link.
Oh yeah.
The vampire in that shit.
Mm-hmm.
When he rolls up at the beginning of the movie in his crossed out coffin tank.
Yeah.
He's coming in, and all of the crosses in the town bend up.
Yeah.
He bends up all the. He's so evil. Crosses
He
can't
just
even
bends up.
exist around him. I love this vampire
is
so
awesome.
much. There's so much like subtlety to that film. The animation is amazing.
Yeah. Well, and I've seen that movie before. You let me borrow it one time. And I really liked it. I grew up with the original animation.
Yeah,
and
which I did too.
Man, let me tell you, that is not aged well.
No, but Funhouse did this one. And I love Funhouse's animation.
It is really good.
Yeah. Funhouse did one of my favorite sequences in the Animatrix. You know, they're the guys that did
the robot revolution, like the uprising and stuff like that.
And there's one more that they did that I'm not going to talk about right now. Yeah, I absolutely love Vampire Hunter D.
Yeah.
And
so what's the plot? What's D doing in this one?
So, D in general is a bounty hunter.
Yeah.
It's kind of what he does. Pretty much he does whatever you'll pay him for, I guess.
Yeah, he's just kind of a mercenary.
Yeah. But he was sent to find this rich baron's daughter that was abducted by a vampire, and
vampires always snatching up
they're
bitches.
Always, and she's a party one too. So.
Yeah.
How did the brothers come into play? Because that's
an alternate mercenary band that he also hired.
Oh,
he
okay.
hired as many people as he could just
Yeah.
to throw everything he can at this vampire.
Because I remember them being I liked how they all had their distinct
shtick.
fighting styles.
Yeah.
There was the really
Yeah.
sick one that would astral project, and he was
My
super
God.
OP.
Yeah,
I think his
dude
name
was
is
awesome.
Rafe or
Yeah.
something like that. Yeah, I think it's
Yeah.
Rafe.
And then there's the tank.
The big
super
one's my
powerful-
favorite,
yeah.
dude. Yeah, and then there's the main 2 of the brothers, which is
One's a female, isn't it?
one's a female. So let me look at these.
And then
names.
doesn't one of them have
So Layla is the name
Yeah.
of the female.
Yeah.
Borgoff is the
Yeah.
main brother. And he has
a bow.
yeah,
he's got like Guts's like repeating bow.
Yes, he does. Yes, he does.
Yeah.
And one of my favorite, and this is the scene that, like, if I think about Vampire Hunter D, it goes right to this in my head. Is when Borgoff sees him on the edge in front of the full moon, and he sees him coming up the hill, or actually he's listening. He doesn't even see him yet, and so he fires one bolt. And it goes flying, and you see it, and it's the sparkle, because, they're all silver bolts. Yeah. And then D comes directly over the hill and grabs that shit right before it hits him in the head. And his horse bucks up on its back legs, and his cape goes into the air, and it makes the bat wings right over the moon. And then he just breaks it in his hand and drops it.
Trailer scene.
God, that is so anime.
Ooh, yeah.
Oh,
that
so
shit
good.
is hype.
It's so hype.
dude. And it sets up D as just this ultimate badass, which he is. Like, in both movies, he's just the shit.
Well,
Yes.
It's you don't really have a choice when you're the son of Dracula.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. Which just as far as for the first film,
is he the son of Dracula,
Yes.
or is he Dracula?
This is what I was. Yeah, he's the son. He's a dumb peel.
Okay.
He's a dumb peel.
Oh yeah.
Because you remember at the end of the first film.
But
exactly.
And you see that picture, and it's a picture of D.
Or it's the picture of Dracula.
Oh, okay.
That's a picture of Dracula, and
I
the
think
Count.
I always thought that it's like, oh, that's D, so Dracula was a vampire. That's kind of how I've always.
Yeah, that's his dad.
But I was wrong.
That's Papa D.
Papa D.
Papa D.
So, since we are a spoiler cast. Super Spoiler Cast 6000.
Yeah. We if you haven't seen any of these movies, you should go watch them.
Yeah.
But don't turn off the episode. Just put a bucket on your head and make some loud noises.
Yeah, and then watch
keep playing it.
Listen to it again later.
Yeah.
So we get 2 views. That'd be cool.
That would be nice.
Yeah. Maybe on 2 different platforms too. Wouldn't that be nice? Spread the love.
Yeah.
I really need to make that Bobby Corwin fan club.
That's it. So. The thing that really gets me about the movie is D as a character. Because in the first film, you notice that D is a little bit more human than any of the other monsters.
Yeah, a little bit.
But it's not. They don't really show that too much. D actually opens up in this one, and at the end of the film, basically what you find out is that Meyer Link didn't steal this young girl. She willingly went with
She was
him.
a little fangirl that was like, oh, he's so hot, he's gonna kill me and suck my blood.
And she wants it.
Yeah.
Dude, she wants it. But Meyer Link doesn't want to bite her. He doesn't want to give her the curse of death.
What a fucking pimp, man.
I know.
Damn.
Yeah.
And he's tempted by this constantly, but all they want is to fall in love, and the whole thing
it's an actual pretty decent love story right there. Like,
man,
in
I'm
the
gonna have to
middle
rewatch
of
this.
Well,
Shit.
it takes till the end for D to realize this is going on. The
Yeah.
very end of it, where he's basically on the edge of killing Meyer Link.
Yeah.
Full on D beast mode comes out, and lightning starts appearing in the room. And there's another scene that I always think of, which is. Meyer Link used his cape as like a knife. It was very much like
Zero?
No, Dimitri from from Darkstalkers.
Oh, hell yeah.
Which is probably my second favorite vampire. He is pretty amazing. And then Blade.
Good, gotta crap on that one.
My list could go on.
Helsing.
Helsing. Woo. Oh no, I'd give it to Helsing as number 2.
Well, that's quick question, guys. Alucard from Helsing versus Alucard from Castlevania versus D. Battle Royale.
I think that Alucard from Helsing is too powerful for this battle, because if he unlocked all of his things, he's basically a god.
Yeah.
So that's kind of an unfair battle.
He when he fucking freaks out and goes into like full power mode, he looks like some Lovecraftian.
He just becomes an eldritch horror.
Castlevania's Alucard is OP as shit, but I don't think.
I think him versus D though is a solid.
He'd go in there with the shield rod and the Alucard shield.
Yeah,
and just run right into him.
What the fuck is this? Dude, put that hand up.
Yeah. Oh my god! I wonder what would even happen at that point.
I want. I kind of want
to be a standoff.
I kind of want a shirt with D with his hand up with the wind coming in that just says "Talk to the Hand" on it.
Well, that's something that you haven't touched on yet that I just wanted to bring up.
His
I
hand?
love his fucking hand.
His hand is so
He's so
good.
sassy. He's shit talking him the whole time.
Do you know who that guy is? I can't think of his name right now. Hold on. Left hand, Michael McShane. Michael McShane is the shrink in Office Space.
Oh,
you know,
shit.
the way down, and then he starts having the heart attack. That guy, that's that dude. He was in like Richie Rich. You remember that Richie Rich movie? He was the inventor guy. I brought up Richie Rich. What y'all think?
Dude, he was also the he was Friar Tuck in fucking Robin Hood, Prince of Thieves.
He was Friar Tuck.
He was also Dunstan and Dunstan Jackson. I'm just kidding. Oh, shit. I just had to bring up another stupid '90s movie. I couldn't even get that out without cracking up.
But D, when he realizes that they are in love and that it's a pure thing, he stops fighting Meyer Link. He takes the girl's ring and says that it'll be a token of her death, and he says he's going to tell her father that she had already been turned and he had to slay both of them, and lets them go and lets them have their life in love. You know,
Because D's a good guy.
because D's a good guy. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, but the thing that fucks me up about the whole thing with Vampire Hunter D is, you know, like you've read.
Yeah,
there
I read
is
the
so
I read the
much
first
content.
book. Yeah.
you know.
Yeah, I don't
There's
even know
so
how many
much.
books there are.
Yeah,
I mean,
it's
there's
ridiculous.
definitely there's like more than 10.
The
sure.
first movie is just the first book.
I've read,
Yeah,
and I've read
yeah.
the first book too.
and that one's really good.
Yeah.
And then like Bloodlust follows like another book in the series. I don't know which one, but there's just so many of them.
By the way, love those Yoshitaka Amano illustrations.
Oh, I have an
yeah,
art book.
So good.
Oh,
Beautiful.
They're
dude.
so good.
Ooh, yeah. I mean, I fell in love with Yoshitaka Amano first because of Final Fantasy.
Yep.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. But once I started looking at his stuff, and then I realized, oh, he did Vampire Hunter D artwork. Then
Yeah.
that was it.
Yeah,
that was
dude.
it for me, dude.
Yeah,
yeah.
totally.
Yeah.
They have so much work that they could
Yeah.
be doing, though. They have so much of a volume of D.
Yeah.
So much
so
D.
much volume.
There
There's
is
so
so
much
much D.
D.
Okay.
Wow.
The show just got real racy.
Ooh. But you know, that's pretty much how I feel about it. It was a very iconic movie for me when it came out. I pretty much saw it as soon as it came out. I was in middle school at the time.
Yeah.
You know, so that's really when I started getting into anime for real.
Yeah.
So that's probably one of the first that impacted me so heavily.
Hell
And it's always been a favorite.
Like, you know,
Because you
watching-
loved the first one.
I love the
What-
first
okay.
one.
Yeah.
It hasn't aged well, but I still love it.
Well,
you
dude, like, okay, I need to
Mechanical
go.
horses, guys.
I need to go back and rewatch both of them, and I'm in the same boat as you,
Same
G,
here.
in that Vampire Hunter D was like literally the first anime I ever saw. Like
Oh,
it was like
yeah.
Vampire Hunter D and Project A-ko. Those are the
Oh,
first.
dude.
And it was
and
both. It was
Project
both
A-ko
like
is so good.
yeah.
I
Those
love
are both
that
like Sci-Fi Saturdays.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
anime Saturday or whatever
Yeah.
they call it.
Yeah. Saturday anime.
Well, so,
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah,
while
on
we're on that
Sci-Fi Channel.
subject, what was the first like anime series, like anime show that you guys saw? Because I
Anime
think the
show?
first thing I ever saw was like G-Force.
Man, I remember watching like, you know, Robotech and
Yeah.
G-Force and
Probably Ronin Warriors.
Ronin
Yeah,
Warriors.
Ronin
the power
Warriors
is in the
Yeah.
armor.
like-
I was in the armor.
But yeah, Ronin Warriors, Samurai Pizza Cats.
Oh yeah.
You know, Sailor Moon, Dragon Ball Z. just
Which,
the normal
by the way,
stuff.
Samurai Pizza Cats has such good music.
Oh yeah, it does.
That intro is so ridiculous. The guy singing the song sounds really gay. He's like, Samurai Pizza Cat.
Yeah.
Like, what the fuck, man?
They got Paul Lynde to do it.
Yeah, it's like, Jesus.
Just
dude.
go find a random guy on the side of the road. Hey, say Samurai Pizza Cats. Samurai Pizza Cats. You'll do.
Whatever.
But yeah, I mean, but the thing is, and I'll get into this in more detail later. Is like I didn't realize that those were anime. I just saw those as like cartoons.
Well,
I didn't
you know,
even-
and not
yeah.
only that, I mean, we're watching the, you know, the Americanized
exactly.
adaptation, you know, like
Yeah, there's a lot that was cut and a lot that
Yeah.
was, you know,
switched over for
redubbed
us
and-
little kids.
Yeah, exactly.
So remember I said that there was another movie the Funhouse did?
Uh huh.
it's Ninja Scroll.
Oh yeah. Funhouse did do that one.
Yeah.
Ninja Scroll's real good.
You know, I've seen Ninja Scroll. I love Ninja Scroll, but I've never seen Ninja Resurrection.
Oh,
Ooh.
dude, it's good.
It's good. It's weird.
It's not like the first one.
Yeah.
But it's good. Yeah.
There's a scene that's like it's really disturbing. The main antagonist cuts his finger off.
Oh yeah.
And then the finger like crawls up this chick's leg
Oh yeah.
and like kind of
Inserts.
and
Yeah.
Whoa.
like and it's just kind of out of nowhere. And I
Yeah.
get it, like he's technically like because he's a demon in the movie, and I guess he's possessing her or something. Yeah, but I mean it's a good movie. It's just really kind of off the wall and weird like that, you know.
That's
some Reanimator shit right
Yeah.
there.
That's kind of refreshing, though. I mean, you know, like
Yeah.
I miss that, you know, aspect of old school anime where you know, expect the unexpected.
Mhm.
Exactly.
You know?
Mm-hmm.
You know, it could kind of go in any direction because there wasn't like, you know, I mean, of course the industry was all, you know, big over in Japan, but out
Yeah.
here, you know, it wasn't as big as it is now.
Yeah, I feel
Yeah,
like
shit.
Yeah, it wasn't.
in
even
general less risks get taken these days.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah.
definitely.
safe,
So, yeah.
safe ass anime.
Yeah. I'm not saying you know there can't be anything good nowadays because one of the movies I'm going to talk about is really recent.
Yeah, exactly.
So, but anyway.
So
Who Hutch?
Levi?
Who Hutch?
Yes.
Ooh, Hutch.
You know Hutch?
Yeah, I know Hutch.
Yeah. Did I tell you about that?
No.
So Hutch is a friend of ours that works in kitchens that we've known for a long time, Scott and I. And we went to a bar that he happened to work at, and I was like, "Oh, Hutch is in the back." And Levi looks directly at me and just go, "Who Hutch?" Like what?
Yeah, even I was baffled by that one. I was like, "Damn, I just said that." Like that.
We were laughing a lot.
Hutch.
Who
That's
Hutch?
great.
Like a drunk old man.
Yeah.
Who Hutch?
But
All right, yeah. So Levi, what's one of your movies?
all right, so as you two both know, but the listeners now know, I really suck at watching movies. And what I mean by that is
You're a series man.
I mean, yeah, I do watch the fuck out of some anime in
Yeah.
general, but I just never put time aside to sit down to watch an entire movie.
Oh yeah.
So that's what I mean by that. So I failed to watch 3 and only watched 2.
It's fine.
But those 2 that I did watch were pretty cool.
What was the third one that?
The one that I failed to watch that I will watch eventually was Tokyo Godfathers.
Well, then talk
yeah.
about another movie that you.
Well, yeah, for sure. I just wanted to, put that
okay,
out there.
Okay.
Yeah.
But see
I
now,
was thinking you were only gonna do 2 movies. I was like, what?
I haven't seen Tokyo Godfathers, but I really want to see that one.
Yeah, well, I mean, it
Have
sounds
not either.
it's okay. I mean, it sounds super interesting. I mean,
And it's Satoshi
it's
Kun, man.
Christmas, right? 3 homeless people find a baby. Like
Yeah.
that sounds like a good movie
Yeah.
already.
Is it 3 Men and a Baby? Does it have Tom Selleck?
What?
So,
Tom Selleck and a baby.
In Christmas, an anime.
all right. So, one of the 2 that I did successfully complete was Tech on Concrete,
Yeah,
and that was really cool.
I've seen that one before.
Yeah, first and foremost, it has a distinct style, which is cool. It very much
Yeah.
works.
Do you know
It's
what the
not
name of
your
that studio
typical-
is?
No.
Would you mind looking
yeah,
that up?
somebody use a
Yeah,
computer
it was-
to
let me-
assist.
Yeah, but keep
Yeah.
talking. I'll,
Oh yeah, for sure. So the basic story is there's these 2 orphan kids who go by Black and White, and
Which that's the name of the anime or the manga, right?
I'm not sure actually.
I think it's called Black and White.
Okay,
Mhm.
that would make a lot of sense.
Aniplex.
Yeah,
Oh, okay.
Aniplex.
Aniplex.
Their names make a lot of sense because
And then a couple other ones that I don't recognize, so we're not going to talk about them.
Okay. But as far as their names, Black and White, it makes a lot of sense because because of the relationship they have. Black's more of he's kind of dark and brooding and violent, and White's more like happy-go-lucky, like I'm gonna close my eyes to the horrors of the world and just view world through this colorful child's
Kind of
kaleidoscope.
kind of blissful ignorance.
Yeah, definitely, yeah. And so, they're, like I said, they're these two orphan kids, and they're living in what's definitely like kind of a Neo-Tokyo type situation. Like, it's Japan, but it's the future,
Okay.
but there's a lot of foreigners there now.
Mm-hmm.
Like, there's a lot of what looks like Thai going on, like a lot of Thai immigrants, because there's a lot of like elephants everywhere, and then there's like buildings with like Thai writing on it,
That's
which
what I was
is
going to say.
really
Is
distinct.
there a lot of Thai writing?
Yeah. You see that Thai writing, and you're like, okay, that's definitely Thai.
Yeah, I feel like you can pick out like Thai, Korean, Chinese, Japanese pretty quickly.
Fairly easily.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like, you could
You know
show
the
somebody
difference.
what they are, and you could be like, okay, now is it that hard? No, it's not.
Yeah. You can definitely tell the differences.
Definitely. Yeah, then you know which sandwich you're going to get.
But so they're living on the streets or whatever in this Neo-Tokyo type place, and basically what they're the whole movie revolves around them like thwarting the yakuza.
Oh.
So and then like the yakuza team up with this guy who's definitely a foreigner who goes by Mr. Snake or whatever, and he's got this plan to bring in this amusement park. So that does end up happening, but like the whole time, Black and White are just mucking it all up for him, and it's really cool. And it kind of really the movie focuses on character development between them two and like their relationship.
That's cool.
Yeah, and that's something that that's a huge draw for me is character development.
Definitely.
Yep,
So,
exactly.
Yeah.
If the characters are good, if the characters are good, you're usually going to enjoy yourself. With it, you're going to invest a little bit more in the story. You're going to be willing to take a little bit more leaps of faith because you like those characters. Yeah.
I would even say that that's our main focus for this podcast. Is to talk about good characters.
Essentially, we're just going to be like we've talked about this. Is just like we're still going to be talking about the entire movies, but I think we're going to try to shift the focus more on the characters themselves, because that's definitely something that no matter what kind of movie I watch, it's always about the characters.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And in Tech on Concrete, it outside of focusing on Black and White, it also kind of goes over one of the yakuza that's involved, and it kind of you kind of see his story unfold where he gets his girlfriend pregnant.
Oh man!
And he kind of wants to get out of the game, but then he also gets involved with this snake guy.
Oh, okay.
So and then like
every time I try to get out, I get pulled back in, kind of thing.
Yeah, he's not like a major focus of the movie, but it goes over his story, which is
just kind of like a subplot kind of thing.
Yeah, and like it doesn't end favorably for him, but it's really cool to see all of it unfold and how that lifestyle typically tends to bite you in the ass.
Yeah. Like a snake.
Right. Yeah. You knew it was a snake when you picked it up.
Yeah.
So overall, very good watch. The animation gets super trippy at points.
Nice.
Like, I mean,
yeah, absolutely,
totally crazy out there.
Now tell me if I'm wrong about this, but and of course it's not, the animation's not exactly like this, but does it kind of have that like Dead Leaves kind of style? Have you ever seen that?
Yes,
movie?
no,
just kind of real exaggerated.
I love
Dead
Dead
Leaves.
Leaves.
Yeah.
Dead Leaves is great. Everybody listening, if you haven't watched Dead Leaves, it's like 50 minutes long.
Yeah,
go watch it.
It's not long, and it's literally it's a shotgun blast of entertainment to your face.
Seriously, yeah. It's like Michael Bay made an anime, but it's not super predictable and doesn't suck.
Yeah.
Wow, and it wraps up quick. Yeah.
Yeah, but like, you know what I'm talking about, just kind of that over-exaggerated animation to a degree.
Not necessarily that, but like
dude, they have reductionist animation. That's almost what I would say.
Yeah.
They get to a point where like
that's a really good way to put it.
Yeah.
Because it's like it just like
it's
when,
like it just deforms into nothingness.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Like when
it's
Black
basic lines.
It's like shapes and colors.
Yeah. At one point in the movie, Black and White end up separated. White ends up in police custody, and when this happens, like, Black really starts to break down because White was his balance.
Oh yeah.
So since he doesn't have
white
that
balance,
he starts fucking going off the rails and is just like hyper violent, like losing his shit. At one point, he's carrying around a doll and it's all like, "Look, White came back. White came back."
Oh man. So he like really breaks down.
Yeah. I mean, he's not dealing with it at all, and White's freaking out too because it's like he can sense, his pain, like so it's, man, you got to.
And that sounds awesome.
So just on that topic, I had seen that movie when it came out. And when you started talking about it, I'm like, oh, I really got to watch that again. I don't remember a lot of it.
Yeah.
And I started looking for it because I remember liking it. I thought, this would be worth buying. Yeah. So I looked for it on Blu-ray, and I can't find it for less than about $55.
Ooh.
Yeah. And
that's some like old school anime prices right there.
Well, I think it's just because of the low print number. There's no reason for it to be like that, man.
Yeah, exactly.
It's not like it's some special edition something. It's just a normal Blu-ray, man.
I'm sure you can find it like to download for a lot cheaper. I'm sure.
I couldn't watch it to rent on Amazon. What is that?
That's bullshit.
Yeah, that's fucking ridiculous.
Yeah, you can't make things hard to find because then we pirate them.
Yep.
Don't force people to pirate things. Okay,
there you go.
That's all I'm saying.
I guess it's my turn.
It's your turn.
Go G.
Go G.
We're around the robin.
All right, so the first one I'm going to talk about is Paprika.
Oh yeah,
Philip, I know you've seen it.
Absolutely.
Levi, you haven't seen it.
I know of it. Haven't seen it.
So this one's done by like one of my favorite directors, and he didn't do a lot of movies while he was in the industry because he had about 10 years in the anime industry, and then he like died from like an illness. I think it was cancer. But that's Satoshi Kon. He's the same guy who did Tokyo Grandfather, which is what we were talking about before.
Okay, cool.
And
is
Perfect
he a
Blue.
raccoon?
He's a raccoon. He has
raccoon?
He has black eyes.
Oh, fucking rakins.
That's not from natural like face structure. That's
he gets his
from,
ass beat.
He just gets punched all the time.
Ass beat. Somebody told him twice.
But Paprika was but he did Perfect Blue, which I absolutely love that movie. That's a damn
Perfect
good,
Blue is good.
That's a damn good thriller.
Which, real quick, help me out. What's that one about?
A idol is.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Idol is trying to break into acting.
Yeah.
And she's like also getting stalked by like a crazy
fanboy,
and like and dealing with like who am I, what do I really want kind of stuff, and it kind of splits into this kind of split personality kind of story. It's really good, and it's super intense, and like the animation is fantastic. The use of color in that movie is fantastic. I think Satoshi Kon does some of the best what am I trying to say? Like mimicking actual live action film.
Oh, like photorealism?
Yeah, almost like not even really photorealism, just how he frames and how he cuts his scenes.
Just the cinematography.
The cinematography and just his camera usage like is very mimicking like actual cameras and stuff like that. So I think that's something that like really draws me to his stuff is just the production of it is like an actual film.
That's something I liked in parts of Fooly Cooly.
Yeah,
is that they did that camera work thing where like the camera was like a little shaky or it's a nice effect.
But Paprika is about this future where therapists can now go in have this little device that they've invented, and they can actually go into your dreams and kind of help you work through your problems that way. And one of these devices,
it's kind of the Cell-ish.
Yeah. Well, it's kind of Cell-ish, very, very Inception in a lot of ways. Yeah. But one of these devices gets stolen, and so the whole movie is about them trying to find this device because literally everybody in the world somehow is like getting connected, and all of their dreams are like smashing together.
Whoa.
Yeah, and like. And people are like, walking off buildings because they think, oh, I can fly, because they think they're in a dream. And so, like, the whole world's, or, like, at least this, small part of Japan is, like, going kind of to hell.
Chiba.
Oh, Swedish Chiba. She's, kind of the, like, top therapist. She's the one that's, like, she's the one you want to actually go into your dreams. And she kind of has like this dream personality called Paprika, which is this kind of fun-loving, movie-loving girl who just kind of comes in and says, oh, are you sure you should do that? Do you really want to do that? And it's just...
It's like having a fun conscience.
Yeah, exactly, pretty much. But I actually saw this as... her voice in the original Japanese is done by Megumi Hoshibara.
Oh,
Yeah. Same lady that she's a musician too, and I really like her music. She's done a lot of OPs for series that I really dig on,
Yeah.
but that was just kind of a
yeah.
little
I know
side
the name. I
Yeah.
can't directly recall what she's done, but
thing. Yeah. She did. I know she did the Slayers OP.
yeah. Oh, okay. Yeah.
Stuff like that are a couple of those, and but I really like the movie. I think the animation and just the way they present dream sequences is really interesting. Like I said, I mean, it's very Inception, you know. So if you think about the way that Inception presents a dream, and are you awake, are you dreaming, kind of situation, throughout the movie. But you know, other than Paprika, there's this detective guy who she's like one of his patients.
Oh yeah.
And he's not necessarily directly involved in the main plot of, you know, trying to get this machine back or anything, but he's just kind of there, and he kind of falls into the, like, I guess, hero role. And he's actually a really good character. He's very, very well defined. This guy who, you know, he's been a homicide detective for years and years and years, and it's really kind of getting to him. And you see him throughout the movie take this arc of, like, going from really, really kind of depressed and down on himself to, like, throughout, you know, the times that he's dreaming, you know, kind of becoming the hero and kind of rediscovering himself, you know, and coming out the other side a much better, more rounded person, which I really like about that.
Yeah, it actually has a.
I gotta say, man, I mean, like, just from that description, like,
Yeah.
I know this is something that I absolutely would enjoy.
Oh, and it's beautiful, and the animation is absolutely wonderful, and it's got that real, like, you know, kind of very surreal aspect to it. Like, somebody will put their hand on a wall, and, like, it'll kind of, like, bend around the hand and, like, kind of suck them in, and like
very dreamscape.
Extremely dreamscapey. I mean, stuff
You know,
that you would think.
Well, you know what? It's kind of funny because, I mean, they do use dream elements to like, for instance, in Waking Life.
Yeah.
You know,
yeah.
it's very similar in some instances
It
of
is.
just, like, the floatiness of things and things not being so.
Yeah, and they kind of do
you
the
know.
same thing here.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah.
When did this come out?
2006.
Okay, cool,
Yeah.
cool.
Yeah. So right on the cusp of early 2000s anime, right there. Yeah. But I really like that one. That was that's really all I had to say about that one. It's a good watch, man. If you guys haven't seen it, please,
Yeah, dude,
check it out. Yeah.
Going on the watch list for sure.
Definitely.
Well,
So Phil.
well, my next one, I think all three of us have seen this one. Jin-roh the Wolf Brigade.
Oh yeah, that one.
Definitely.
Yeah.
That
Not
real
not
good.
in many years, but definitely.
And I hadn't seen it in quite a few years either.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, I couldn't rewatch it. I have definitely seen it, but this past week I've just, you know, I've been trying to catch up on my picks, and then, like, you know, later on that night after I watched my movies, I would try to watch Jin-roh, and I kept falling asleep. You know, and I really hate myself for that, because I'm like, I know this is a good movie. I know it's gonna get really good soon.
That's
I keep
really
falling
funny.
asleep right before it starts, like, really popping off.
Dude, that's really funny you say that, because the first time that I watched the movie, I couldn't make it through it, and I passed out.
It's kind of a
The
slow
very
grind at the
Absolutely,
very
and
beginning.
I didn't think I
it's
liked it.
really
and
building.
I returned the movie back to the Blockbuster.
Those
It-
days.
Yeah,
The Blockbuster.
the Blockbuster. And then someone else happened to rent it. And I watched it again and was like, oh man, why didn't I appreciate this the first time?
Yeah, that was really cool. I know we were talking about this,
Yes.
that we didn't realize that was Production IG, the same
Yeah.
guys that did Standalone Complex.
Absolutely.
And
Another
couple-
movie that I'm talking about.
Oh.
Foreshadowing.
Production
Five
IG
shadowing.
gets around.
Is it 5 o'clock shadowing? Is it, I'm gonna keep mutating this.
So talk about this movie. What is it about?
It's about it's about I'm sorry, I was trying to make that funny and nothing came out. So it's basically a film about
Because I know
Japanese.
it's an alternate history.
It's an alternate history that happens in the wake of World War II. So this is kind of I want to say it's in the 60s or so, or at least it kind of feels like that.
Yeah.
Maybe it's still the 50s. It's not very late afterwards. Yeah. But Japan becomes a completely totalitarian, lockdown, police state, and this force. I really want to say
armored police or something.
They're definitely suited the fuck up.
Yeah. Which, by the way, the Hellgast from Killzone, anybody?
Oh yeah.
They basically just stole
they just
Jin-roh
ripped that out.
costumes. Yeah. It's the same thing.
So if you want to try to picture something like what these characters look like,
it's the Hellgast.
Just picture that.
Yeah, it's the Hellgast, which I think that's part of the reason why I have a soft spot in my heart for Killzone, because I'm like, oh, Jin-roh. But it's about this this armored police unit, which seriously I think they call it security, public security. Which is funny. If you like Ghost in the Shell, you will probably enjoy this film.
Yeah.
And funny enough, it was written by Mamoru Oshii, which is the director of the original Ghost in the Shell, I believe, and the second one. Yeah, totally. Yeah. And you definitely get the Ghost in the Shell feel from this.
Oh yeah, totally.
With the political discussions, but the politics aren't so heady in this one. I feel like the politics are always so heady in a Ghost in the Shell.
Well, they feel like and this was just my impression of it. It feels like when they are talking politics, it feels like regular people just talking about politics,
and it directly relates to what's happening.
Exactly. It's not like all over the place trying to shove philosophy and politics into the same boat.
Yeah. Yeah, because I do love that about
it's awesome, but
this is so much more direct.
Sometimes it can drag on a little bit.
Yeah, this feels like Hellgast cop drama.
Yeah.
Rather than it being so, Yeah, that's right, Hellgast cop drama.
Really
Hellgast cop drama.
Yeah.
It's actually a really good description of that.
Hellgast cop drama. Yeah, so the main character basically is out on a mission during a revolutionary uprising, and this
and they're having problems with like a terrorist group.
Yes, absolutely. So there are people rioting in the streets, but there are also other individuals that are ferrying bombs to the other side, and trying to kill any police, period. And we're talking about normal police for the most part here. These armored guys are kind of stout. They're not really doing much to them. But during this, there's a young girl, and her name is Kazuki. No, hold on. Oh, Kai. Yeah, that's her name. And
Kai.
And she is part of the revolution. She's a young girl that is helping ferry the bombs. She picks up this package from somebody. It's basically like a messenger bag, and she's taking it to an operative to then use against the police.
Yeah, and that's something that this group does a lot. Like they even have a name for that. It's like the Red Riding Hoods.
Yeah, the Red Riding Hoods,
which kind of plays into the like Wolf Brigade.
And the whole time during the movie, they're kind of referring to Little Red Riding Hood as a story as well, which is funny because they refer to the Grimm Fairy Tales version, so it's the like gory one.
Yeah, really dark version.
Yeah, so she drinks her mother's blood and
this
eats her mother's
grandma's
flesh.
Red Riding Hood.
Yeah, that's right. Actually, it kind of might be.
Kind of is the grandma's Red Riding Hood.
Kind of might be. So this guy Fuse, the main character, that is one of these special police, encounters this girl, and he hesitates to shoot her. And at this point, the rest of his battalion's coming around, and she flips out, blows the fuck up, and blows out an entire section of this sewer area, and nearly kills him and 2 other officers.
Yeah.
And one of his officer buddies comes and dives him into the water so that he didn't get hurt. But he gets sent to the infirmary and he gets discharged because they think that he's not following orders. They think that they
like send him off to like retraining or something like that. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So he goes back to the academy basically, and he's of course way better than any of these guys in the academy. So the whole time you're following him and you're realizing that he has this like emotional vacancy to the situation, and people are talking to him like, well, why didn't you shoot? Well, and he even mentions, I meant to shoot. I really meant to shoot her, but he didn't.
Yeah. Because I know that there's a scene like right after that situation where he's kind of in a room with a bunch of guys in suits in a desk, and they ask him, he's just like, why didn't you shoot? And then there's this long pause, and like he's going through the situation in his mind and stuff like that, and he's just like, no, hey, why didn't you shoot? I don't know.
Yeah.
And that's all he says.
Yeah. And when he's in the academy, you meet his drill instructor, which is the guy that trained him to begin with, and he's kind of asking him, what the hell's wrong with you? Are you okay? Yeah. And so this other guy that's in the military gets interested in him as well, and he's trying to figure out the case. He's trying to crack it. He's really like, there's no reason for him not to have shot her. What the hell's going on? So at the same time, when they're running drills and they're doing all this and they're trying to train him back up to be able to be reinitiated, he meets this girl that claims to be the deceased girl's sister, like identical sister, or no, older sister.
They favor each other.
Yeah, absolutely.
Essentially, yeah.
And so she placates towards this idea with Fuse the whole time to try to lead him in to becoming part of, the revolution.
Yeah.
But what she doesn't realize is that the secret Wolf Brigade that they've been talking about the whole time, this inner circle of the armored police that are actually there as an insurgent team to stop the government from the inside. Fuse has been trained to be the guy of that his entire career.
Yeah.
And she had no idea about it.
What a twist.
And he ends up having to kill her. He ends up being forced to kill this girl at a certain point in the film. And I kind of think the only thing that I don't like about the movie is the very end, because it is a total mic drop. It's just like, okay, bye.
Is that I remember that. I don't remember what's going on, but he has like a Mauser pistol and he takes the shot. Is that who he's killing?
Yeah, he's killing.
Okay.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
I remember that scene.
And then they just like get in cars and like drive off.
And some other stuff happens, and then that's the end of the movie pretty much. Yeah, and that's the only thing I don't like about it.
But all the stuff leading up to that point.
Oh, it's so good.
Yeah.
And I kind of think that there's nothing else to say. So it's one of those situations.
I will say that they do a really good job of not hinting at
You don't even know.
You don't even know.
Yeah. Of course, I mean, I knew because I'd seen the movie, but I was paying attention to the cues.
That's you in the future.
That's me. Me in the past didn't know. Yeah, I'm still a big fan of this movie, and I was just so shocked that it was production IG, because it's like, of course I love this.
Yeah.
Yeah. But if you're a fan of Ghost in the Shell, I see no reason why you wouldn't also enjoy.
Well, if you're a fan of anime or movies in general, like this is just a damn good movie.
That brings me to another point. I'm glad you said that real quick. This was the first time that I ever saw an anime that I immediately attributed to regular film. It feels like a regular film. Yeah. They could shot for shot make this with actual people, and it would be just as good of a movie. Mm-hmm. Like, that's not a problem.
I agree with that.
Yeah, and that might be a cool thing to have happen.
That would be cool.
It's just going to be hard to get licensing rights away from
Production IG.
From Sony for the Hellgast.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Hey, can we put Hellgast in a movie that's based on an anime that you stole Hellgast idea from, please? But that's what I got. What you got next, Levi?
What I have next is Your Name. which came out last year and was, if I remember correctly, the highest grossing anime like ever.
Yeah, so far of all time, it surpassed like any of the Studio Ghibli films, like Spirited Away and Ghost in the Shell, Akira, and stuff like that. Like it made it's number one currently.
Yeah, so I mean, when I remember hearing that, I was like, okay, well, clearly this warrants a watch because I mean, it didn't get there, without any merit.
Yeah.
So, finally sat down and watched it the other day, and I knew I was gonna like it within like the first couple of minutes. I mean, I was like, oh my god,
who was that guy that directed it? Because he's got a really interesting story behind him. Makoto Shinkai. Yeah. So this guy literally broke into the anime like industry by making like short films and even feature length films all by himself.
Damn.
Yeah, all by himself, like animating, doing the soundtrack, doing any of the voices, like literally everything by himself. And he did it on a computer. These are all like CG, anime, but like I remember hearing that and like looking at some of the films.
But is your name CG?
No.
Oh
no, it's 2D. I think it's supplemented with a little bit of CG.
It is
okay.
Yeah.
On that note, it's beautiful.
Yeah,
it is absolutely beautiful.
Yeah, that was what I was gonna say. Another thing that he's really known for throughout all of his movies is his backgrounds and the way he uses lighting. Like, because his backgrounds, a lot of them just look real.
Yeah.
Like, it looks like you're staring out into a field. It looks like you're looking at a cityscape. Yeah. And it's just gorgeous.
Nice.
Yeah.
So, Your Name, at its core,
what's it about, Levi?
It is overtly romantic, like straight up overtly romantic. But
is it a rom-com?
No.
Does it start with that? If you like call me baby.
Yeah, then I would have known in the first couple of seconds. I'd be like, oh, I'm not watching this. Oh god. No, but okay. Basically,
just go ahead now.
Here's what's going on. So there's a guy in inner city Tokyo,
yeah,
and a girl in a rural area of Japan. Rural.
Yeah.
And what ends up happening is when they go to sleep, they randomly switch bodies. So the anime starts out from the girl's perspective, and she's just going about her day like normal, and everybody that's around her, family and friends and all that, they're like, what the hell was wrong with you yesterday? They're like, one of her friends even says, like, so did your grandmother exercise you? So clearly, things weren't right. And she's trying to figure out, she has no idea, she has no recollection. She's like, wait, I did what? I did what? I did what?
Yeah.
So people are telling her about all these things that she did, and she doesn't realize it's because, there was a stranger in her body experiencing her life.
Yeah.
So,
that's really cool. Just like the body swap aspect of it, because I know I've heard about this anime and I've really wanted to watch it, but I've just kind of had other stuff to watch. But like I never knew really what the concept of it was. I knew it was a romance,
right? Yeah.
But other than that, I didn't know anything about it.
Yeah.
So
then it kind of goes through that. She's still trying to figure everything out, and then it switches to the boy's perspective.
Yeah.
And I want to say the first time it goes to his perspective, it's the chick in his body. It's not even him in his body. So
okay.
he goes to school and he's acting all girly and trying to figure out what the hell's going on.
That's a really good like transition to a different character.
Yeah.
It's like because you already know that something's going on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, but that's basically it. And eventually they figure it out because it keeps happening.
Yeah.
So then it's like they kind of form a relationship with each other, and they start like leaving each other notes like, "Hey, asshole, don't do these things when you're in my body, please.
Are they?
You're making my life hard."
Are they stickies?
Yeah. Well,
little Post-it notes.
Yeah.
Post-its.
So they're doing that, and it's like kind of without them realizing it. They're developing feelings for each other.
Yeah.
And it's like the chick tries to set up the dude with one of his coworkers because when she's in his body, she kind of pulls some moves. She like repairs this guy's coworker's skirt, you know, like sews it back together and like sews some hearts on there and shit like that, and, like little flowers and shit. And she's just like, you know, taken aback. She's like, "Oh my God, Taki, I didn't know you could do this," you know. And you know, when he gets back in his body, he's like, "Wait, I did what? Oh shit!" You know. So, but she kind of sets them up. They go out on this date, and it's like the date kind of doesn't really go that smoothly because obviously the person that she's interested in isn't actually Taki, but the girl in Taki's body.
Right.
So, Mitsuha is her name. Yeah. Anyway, you know, it's like his coworker realizes it before he does. You know, like they go on this date, and at the end of the date, she's like, "Well, I know you used to have a thing for me, Taki, but it really seems like you're interested in somebody else now." And like he kind of has to think about it. He's like, you know, and of course initially he's like, no, wait a minute,
no, I like you.
You know,
you're cool.
So, you know, and another thing that the anime does that's really cool is like at 3 parts in the movie, there's like a very well placed, you know, what would be like an intro, you know. You know, it's just like the movie's still going on, but there's a song playing in the background, you know, and it's like where the intro would be,
kind of like almost an intermission,
right? Yeah, and then there's like one at the midpoint, and then there's one at the very end, which at that point, like your feels have been fucking pummeled to destruction, and you're like on the verge of tears. But it suddenly stops happening, and it's just Taki at this point. Like you don't know what happened. You don't know what has happened to Mitsuha. It's just all of a sudden they're not switching bodies anymore. Taki's like, I have no fucking clue what's going on. So he's trying to figure out what happened.
But he knows where she lives.
Well, that's the thing, though. Once they go back into each other's bodies, it's like they start to lose the memories of what's happened. So it's like he keeps trying to remember. Like he has all these sketches. He's really good at drawing, right? So he has sketches of her town. And that's what he's like trying to use those to figure out where the hell she is. Because like he tries to call her, and you know, it rings and rings and rings, and then he gets the, you know, like, you know, we're sorry, the number you've dialed has been disconnected, and it's like, what? It's been disconnected? That's really weird.
Yeah.
You know, so he's trying to figure out what the hell's going on, and he's using what he's got to piece this together. His friends are helping him out because they realize something's going on with him. They're like, look, dude, you've been acting crazy. Really? What the fuck's going on?
Some days you're okay, and then the other days you're sewing flowers and shit on skirts. Like,
so, you know, he goes on this journey to try to find her, and he ends up, you know, out in this rural area. They're just kind of searching around aimlessly, trying to figure it out, and randomly they're like having a break. They're in this ramen shop, and this guy sees one of his sketches, and he's like, "Oh, that's I don't remember the name of the town at all."
Yeah.
But he's like, "Oh, that's you know, whatever, that place." And he's like, "Wait, what? Like, you know where this is?" And like he freaks out, and of course that freaks them out because they're like, "Whoa, dude!
How do you not know where this is at?
Exactly.
What's going on?" And so he's trying to drill them for information, and he's like, they're like, "Oh, that town got destroyed like 3 years ago." Yeah, so this is where it gets really crazy.
So it's been through time?
Yes. Yes. So this is where it gets really crazy.
That reminds me of the astronaut's wife.
So
what was the like You Got Mail or some shit?
Is it You Got Mail? That's the one.
The one where they like
You Got Astronaut Mail.
You got astronaut mail.
You got astronaut mail?
No, where they're
that's not You Got Mail.
Well, they're sending letters to each other in this mailbox that's in a rift in time, you know.
And doesn't it have what's her name from Gravity in it?
I don't remember.
Oh, well, anyway,
I've never seen that movie.
Anyway, as an aside, before I continue, Mitsuha, in the rural town that she lives in, she's like a shrine maiden. So like, it's like her.
She's a Kikyo.
Yeah. So like, and there's a scene earlier in the movie where they're performing the ceremony where apparently this is like the most like ancient way to make sake, but you just chew rice and then, you know, spit essentially. So they're chewing rice. You know, they're all in their decor and all that. And it's like her and her sister, they're chewing the rice up, and then they're doing it very elegantly because they like cover their mouths, and then they're like spitting into this little wooden box, you know, that I'm sure you've seen people drink out of before.
Yeah.
It's like a tiny little,
imagine it's like a cube without the top. Yeah.
Exactly. Mm-hmm. So, you know, they're doing that, and then the family shrine, they take that sake that her and her sister made, they take it to the shrine and they put it there. So he knows about this because he's in her body when they take it to the shrine. Also, every time Taki is in Mitsuha's body, her grandmother knows. She's like, "You're not Mitsuha today." You know, like she fucking instantly knows it. And it turns out she went through the same thing, and so did her mother apparently, where they had a period in their life where, you know,
they were just somebody else.
She didn't really explicitly say it like that. She's like, "I remember having strange dreams, but I don't really remember the details now because I'm old. So cherish this time."
Yeah.
You know, essentially.
Whoa.
So she kind of thinks that it's like a, you know, a hereditary thing because of their lineage. It's in their lineage or whatever.
So let me ask you this.
Yeah.
Why is it called Your Name?
Because when they keep getting back when they're trying to find each other and they keep getting back into each other's bodies,
they can't remember
their fucking name. And it's like, dude, there's this one scene where they actually meet up, right? And Taki writes his name on Mitsuha's hand, and then she's going to write her name on his hand, and it's like they're in this very specific
time bubble.
I forgot what they had a specific name for it.
It's the Tesseract.
I mean,
It's the Tesseract.
It's like they're in the same place in different times. Yeah, I know, right? Let me just punch this mic over here. I'm glad that one's not plugged in. Yeah. They're in the same place in different times, and it's like right before nightfall. You know, I forgot that there was a specific term they used for it, but it's like that interstice time where, you know, where worlds. Oh, Jesus Christ! What's the fucking word I'm looking for?
Like the witching hour?
Yeah, essentially, it's the witching hour. And so, yeah.
We'll go with that.
Yeah. They actually see each other, you know, and then this is like the first time they meet, which I'm going to have to backtrack here. But anyway, so he writes his name on her hand, right? And then she goes to write her name, and it's a very specific time, right? Like they only have so much time. She writes the first line of her name, and then it's just him standing there and the fucking marker drops on the ground. And he's trying so hard to remember what her name is, and he's freaking out trying to remember it. It's so poignant.
This sounds like a movie that's just going to like break your feel.
It's
Dude,
gonna make me cry.
Dude, look, the whole time I was watching it, which I was watching with another dude, you know, so I was like, I don't want to be the guy that cries.
I don't want to be. I'm not gonna cry.
I don't want to be the guy that cries. You know, the whole time I was watching it, I was like tearing up, and then at the final scene of the movie, I was like, God damn it! It broke down. couldn't hold it anymore. Then I started crying. I was like, fuck.
Man.
Were you watching it with Matt?
Yeah. Yes.
Man, that sounds awesome. That sounds amazing.
You have to see. It's so good, man.
Heck yeah. Throwing that on the watch list, definitely.
Yeah, by all means. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I kind of skipped around there, but basically what ends up happening is he finds out that, there's this comet that's coming through.
Okay.
And that's what ends up happening. Like, it's the day of a festival. Mitsuharu and her friends are all at this festival. The comet's overhead. Pieces of it break off and destroy the fucking town.
Oh.
So that's what happens. So then they, you know, once they figure this out and they're trying to put it all back together, because what ends up happening is like he goes to their shrine and he finds the sake that he had put there as her from 3 years ago, right? And then he drinks it
and gets
he
real
slips
fucked up
and like hits his head.
Oh.
And then he wakes up as her. And he's like, okay, I have to fucking fix this before everybody dies.
Yeah.
So he's trying to convince everybody that they're all gonna die, and of course, you know, no, everybody's like, what the hell are you talking about? Like,
everything's fine.
You're crazy. Yeah.
Here,
yeah.
drink some more of this spit sake. It'll make you feel good.
So he's talking to he gets his close friends in on it, and one of them starts doing a little research, and they're like, holy shit, check this out. So like, you know, however many thousand years ago it was that this comet came by the first time, the same thing happened essentially.
Wow.
Pieces of it broke off. So that, you know, they kind of had something to go off of, so it wasn't like completely unbelievable.
Yeah.
But still, nobody's really taking him seriously. So one of her friends is this kid whose dad works in like demolition, so this is where it gets really crazy. Like, he gets explosives, right? And they take him to like a power relay station. And this is like, think about doing this as a kid, dude. I mean, these are like teenagers.
Yeah.
He steals explosives. They go to a power relay station. I mean, this is like a fucking legit terrorist attack.
And they drop the
They
grid.
blow the yes, dude. They power down the whole town. They blow the shit up, and it's like there's no turning back now. Like, we have to do this.
Yeah.
You know, and they're trying to get everybody to evacuate. They're like, oh, you know, there's fires, and you know, there might be more explosions. They hijack the like emergency broadcast system, and yeah, so they're doing this emergency broadcast. Her dad, who is the mayor, is like, who the hell's doing this? You know, like, we got to figure this out and stop it. So they stop it, and then they're like, you know, never mind that. Everybody stay put. You know, so everybody stops evacuating.
Oh no!
It's dude. It's just it's so intense. You guys have to watch it. It was so
Wow.
good. I mean, it was
Heck yeah.
such an intense ride, and it was like, I remember like multiple times throughout the movie just hitting the mouse just to see how much time I had left and being like, oh my god, there's that much movie left.
Yeah.
Like, wow.
What else could happen?
Yeah, seriously, dude.
What else can they do?
I mean, I'm almost like, can I? I'm just looking for relief, you know. So I'm like, give me a break.
I don't want to cry anymore.
Yeah, it makes all the sense in the world when you see the movie why it made as much money as it did. Because like, I mean, as soon as we got done watching it, my buddy Matt was like, that is now my favorite movie.
Oh,
Like that,
yeah.
like immediately, dude.
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd like to watch that one. I'd like to see a couple.
So is that just a
other
buy?
of his movies?
Would you say that's just a buy?
Just
I
ultimate
will
buy.
buy it for you, dude.
No.
I will buy it for you.
It's like that.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, like, you remember how you felt about Hara Kitty and like me needing to see that?
Oh yeah.
It's that same level, dude. Yeah. It's that same level.
Which guy is Harakiri? Death of the Samurai.
Guys, I know you can't see this, but Philip looks like his mind has just been blown, like for like the whole time Levi
Like
was talking.
that same amount of like
Yeah.
just emotional.
Ah.
I mean, like when he's got that wooden sword and he's
Yo.
trying to
And
disembowel
it's almost hard to
himself.
watch.
Yeah,
He's
yeah,
like,
yeah. It's you know, different feelings.
I was
but-
trying to explain to my mom why she wouldn't like that movie
Yeah.
without explaining to her exactly what
exactly
happens.
what was going on.
I was just like, it's violent. I don't know.
but it's like a suggested violence.
It's not.
Like,
It's not too bad. I
It's
guess.
not too
but it's
bad.
still
I mean,
just
it'll
so
get bad at certain scenes, but I mean, there's a lot in that movie that you see
Well, there's-
off screen.
What
Yeah.
what the excuse me. I feel a lot the same way that I feel about Hara Kitty. I feel about
The Revenant.
The Revenant. There's so much of that movie that you watch and you're just like, life is so easy now.
Dude, yeah,
You know
I
what
know.
I
I
mean?
hear people bitch
I don't have
about
to worry
things.
about getting attacked by bears.
No,
Yeah.
really.
Ever?
I hear people bitch about things, and I just think of the Wild West.
Yeah.
Imagine the Wild West, where you're on a horse in leather with a leather seat, and you haven't washed your nuts in like a month.
Yeah,
Bit
dude.
of that
Yeah.
You hear me?
Terrible.
That's bad.
At any point, you could be, you know, attacked by like natives, you
Yeah.
know, or you know, whatever, fucking highwaymen.
Yeah,
You
highwaymen.
never know.
Yeah. Fucking, you could get run over by a herd of buffalo.
You get
Yeah.
dysentery.
You know, every
You
snake.
could not have fucking water to drink.
No water.
You know? Like, holy
You know?
shit!
A one-man Oregon Trail here.
Yeah, seriously, dude.
Jeez.
So, Scott?
Oh, my turn again. Okay, so we've been talking about a lot of films that are definitely kind of more fantastic.
Mhm.
You know, and I love that stuff. But here recently I've noticed, especially with a lot of my anime, that I've kind of gotten into a little bit more of the slice of life
Realism.
like kind of more realistic stories, or not. Yeah, more realistic stories, or just kind of just normal, mundane, every life kind of stories, like comedies or like some romantic comedies that I've really enjoyed. And this is one that I kind of found, just kind of ran across. It was on Netflix. It's called In This Corner of the World, and basically this movie is like, it takes place from like 1939 to like the later half of 1940s. So like all the way from like like right as World War I is like kind of getting rolling, all the way up to the end, to the Hiroshima bombings. And it just follows the life of this one girl, Suzu. and she's going back to this is like the reason I love this movie so much was what we were talking about before is just characters. These characters they're just normal people.
Chars.
These characters they're just normal people, from that time period, and they're charming as hell. The animation style is it's very kind of kids book to a degree, but that really plays as a strength. In getting you invested into this world and kind of the way they present it. So anyway, you're following this girl Suzu from like about the time she's like 13 until she hits like 30 or so, or maybe not even that old, but it feels like it's about that long a time. And she's kind of a daydreamer. She's kind of absent-minded, blah blah blah. And the way that at least the first half of the movie plays is it kind of only really shows you the times that either somebody else or something in the world has kind of snapped her out of her daydreaming. So it kind of skips around from moment to moment. And one of her big characteristics is like she likes to draw. She's really good at drawing, and she just does it all the time.
Is that kind of why the sketchbooky art?
Yeah, kind of sketchbooky art. It's kind of yeah. So it's kind of told from her perspective, but in the moments when she's not like daydreaming about stuff, or like drawing like big hairy monster man or something like that, And it's just like it's really funny. And there's a scene where she moves to this naval town where a lot of
a belly button,
like a baby, like a big belly button. But no, and in the garden that she has there, you can see like out into the ocean where all the warships come in, and she's just kind of sitting there one day. She's just kind of sketching the warships, just doing her thing. I'm Suzu, and the military police walk up behind her and yank the notebook out of her hand. It's like, what is this? This is espionage. And then, like, the next scene is like her like being pushed up the hill to her house, because so let me go back a little bit on this. She marries into a family, like it's not an arranged marriage, but like the guy like met her once and was just like, I want to marry you, and so they get married, and now she's living with his family,
which is also rich, I guess.
No, well, they're not rich. They're just people.
Oh.
In this world.
They're just crazy people who see people and are like, I want to marry you.
Yeah. Well, I mean, like, that was, for the time, that wasn't something that was really uncommon, But especially anyway, so she, like, pretty much a lot of the first half of this movie is just her getting used to her new life as his wife. And he's a good dude. Like, it's like they eventually, throughout the movie, end up learning to love each other. But anyways, back to this part of the story. The military police are pushing her up the hill, up to her house, and like her mother-in-law and her sister-in-law are at the house, and the military police are like, she was sketching the shoreline. This is espionage. Is she a spy? Daughter-in-laws are still strangers. Blah blah blah, and just really, and like no one's saying anything. They're just being really polite and proper. And then the military police leave, and it's just like, well, we're gonna let her off this time, but we're gonna be keeping an eye on her. And it's just really somber, really intense moment where you think, oh man, she fucked up bad. Like, this is gonna be really, really bad. And then like her husband comes home, and the mom and the sister tell him about it. And like he kind of puts his hand on the wall, and like it's all silent and really tense, and then all of a sudden he just starts laughing. He's just like, they thought she was a spy, and then all of them start laughing. They're just like, yeah, we were trying not to crack up the whole time. It was so funny. And then like dad comes home and he's like, oh, dad's home, let's tell him. And of course Suzu's over in the corner. It's like, oh, this is embarrassing. So it's stuff like that.
Very lighthearted.
Very lighthearted, but later on in the movie, of course, like once like rationing started getting to be a big deal. And there was constant air raids.
You said World War I earlier.
But sorry, World War II. I meant II.
Yeah.
Sorry about that.
Yeah, Japan didn't do shit in World War I. They just sat their ass over there.
Yeah, no, definitely World War II. But like as the movie progresses, you know, things start getting more dire, things start getting more real, and really kind of like feel type things, like just really like this movie really choked me up, especially in its later half. And rewatching it, the first half is almost really silly, and it's kind of face and palm silly sometimes, but it allows you to really get to know these characters.
Yeah.
So when shit does hit the fan, you like feel for them, and like you like want them to go, you know, survive this and be prosperous afterwards. And it's like you really like care for these characters. There's she has a niece. Suzu has a niece, and it's you know, the sister-in-law's daughter, and they're out, you know, after, you know, an airstrike, and you know the niece wants to see, you know, wants to look at the warships, and they walk across this big crater in the ground, you know, and where like a dud was just had like just buried into the ground but didn't go off.
Yeah.
And you know, of course, like split second decision, you know, the bomb just goes off right there, like on her right side, you know, where she was holding the daughter, you know. And then she wakes up, she's all bandaged up, she doesn't have a right hand, you know, and the daughter's nowhere to be found, you know. And this at this point in the movie, it becomes way more way more of a drama, and things start really like you see this girl who you've pretty much watched grow up and be one of the most lighthearted and kind people just break down and just, you know, like there's a scene where she's just kind of thinking about like all these things that have happened, and she's just like, my right hand that used to, you know, hold my niece, my right hand that used to garden, my right hand that used to sew, my right hand that used to draw, my right hand that used to draw, my right hand, and it just repeats that shit. And like for me, but at that point I had gotten so invested in that character that it just crushed me.
Yeah.
You know? And like, but
I think you just crushed me, Scott.
oh yeah.
Seriously.
Yeah, it's I'm telling you guys, I love this movie. Cause I mean, yeah, shit does get really bad. Cause I mean, yeah, that was one of the like hardest times in, you know, Japan's history.
If anything that we've learned about Japan and World War II is that that shit taught them fuck war.
Yeah.
Yeah, no shit, dude.
Yeah.
No shit, man.
Yeah.
But the ending is very positive.
Yeah.
Because after all of this, you know, after her, you know, because there's several sections after she loses her hand where she's actually having to, you know, relearn how to, like, tie the hood on her, you know, head, you know, having to relearn how to do certain household chores and stuff like that. And, like, you know, the family coming back together after this huge loss of a, you know, of a child and stuff like that. Yeah.
Oh.
And, but, like, seeing them go through that, and then like also seeing, like, you know, the family support structure, like that has been built up, you know, around Suzu, you know, and how they care for each other, you know, in this terrible time. You know, by the end of the movie, it's like, you know, the war's over and they're rebuilding. And that, to me, is just a really poignant message, you know, of no matter how bad it gets, you know, you have your family, you have your friends, you have, you know, people that care about you that can pick you up out of the, you know, out of the darkness and help you, you know, rebuild your life. And that was, you know, to me, this is my absolute favorite movie that I've seen this year, period. It's the more I watch it, the more I find that I love about it.
Yeah.
And it's slowly creeping into my... It's definitely in my top 5, like, anime films of all time. And it's slowly creeping its way up. So, yeah.
Man.
it's intense.
Gotta see that.
Yeah. It's really, really good, guys.
Well, and that message too is so important because honestly, guys, outside of that, you know, like you know, friends and family, like what even really matters?
Exactly.
You know,
exactly. You know, you throw yourself into like really frivolous things and think that matters for a while, but after a while, it really comes down to the people that you love and love you. You know.
So take that to the fucking bank, guys.
For real.
Don't drink the Kool-Aid. Materials don't matter.
That's right.
Also, be ambidextrous, just in case you get
blown. Yeah.
Just in case.
Just in case you lose a hand.
Be very wary when you're walking with your niece.
Yeah. But I will say this film is charming to the point of sickeningly cute. Like it'll make you. It's at first, if you're not used to this kind of stuff, like you might be turned off. But I guarantee you guys, just get through the first half of this movie. Like, pay attention to what's actually going on to it. By the end of it, you're gonna feel, you know, you'll definitely have some feels going on, but you're gonna feel good about it by the end. You know, and there's some other stuff that happened, but I really want you guys to see it, and I really want other people to watch this movie. So I'm not going to say really much more than that. Just let me say that you will come out of this knowing that you've had a extremely satisfying experience. So.
And it's on Netflix.
Accessible.
But yeah. That's all I had to say on that. Philip, you want
to? Yeah. Ooh.
Yeah, didn't mean to depress you guys. Like,
well, my movie isn't so much about the feels, so there's that. But it's definitely about character development, and it's hard for me to not say that this is my favorite anime. Period.
Interesting.
Yeah. Its predecessor was for the longest time, but I just can't help but admit that Ghost in the Shell 2. Innocence is the finer film between the two.
I love that one. I know you had the same situation when I did.
Yeah.
You know, you were just kind of in the video store and you saw, hey, there's a Ghost in the Shell 2.
Yeah.
But they didn't have like it was just the Japanese version.
Oh, no, dude. No, I'm in a different situation than you are. I'm in a different situation than you are. Okay? I was already such a big Ghost in the Shell fan that I knew about Ghost in the Shell 2 when it released in Japan. I waited for the DVD to come out, and day one that it released, I bought it, and it was Japanese only, which I don't mind Japanese voice. We'll go ahead and just put this on the table here. Yeah. Levi is a full-on Japanese man.
Subs overdubs all day, baby.
He likes the subs. Okay, I personally don't like the subs for one reason. It distracts me from looking at the pretty pictures. And I love the pretty pictures.
I'm a speed reader, son.
Yeah, dude. But you still can't pay attention to some of those details. Shit is too fast in anime. Too much stuff's going on.
It depends on what you're watching, because some stuff will overload you. Like, especially when it's like an anime that's hyper referencey, and they take the time to explain the reference. So like you'll have the
you
sub
talking
at the
about
bottom.
Gintama is what you're talking about?
Yes, exactly. Gintama, by the way. Favorite anime.
Yeah.
And then there's like at the top there's like the editor's note that's explaining the joke because that you don't because you're not Japanese, you don't get it.
That's right. Yeah. But that's very nice of them to do.
Yeah,
that.
absolutely. Yes.
Very,
I mean,
nice
I've paused that anime more than anything ever to be like,
just what?
Oh, so that's what that is. Okay.
Yeah. But when I first watched the film, because of basically like a third of the dialogue in this movie is a reference to something else, some literature. Some of it's the Bible, some of it's Nietzsche, some of it's Descartes, some of it's, and it's all over the place. And some of it is just, adages, just regular old sayings, and the translation isn't perfect on the original DVD, so there's a lot of those sayings and phrases that come off in a way where you're like, what the hell are they getting at here? And this movie confused me so much, but I still liked it. I still liked the film, and I got the general plot points. But I didn't understand what the fuck was going on half of the time with what they were saying, because like Toga-san Bato will walk into a place, and then they'll be like, quote, oh yeah, well, we got to go quote, quote, and then you're like,
Was that a conversation?
Yeah. No, like there's this part where they're in the the elevator.
Now.
Yeah, he had to duck hand.
Yeah,
So,
duck hand. I was trying to duck hand discreetly,
duck
but
hand.
didn't work out.
There's a part where they're both on the elevator. Like they walk into this police station. They're talking to this cop, okay, and they're trying to get their case files, and
so hold on before you get through is like get me caught up is like have you already talked about that this is pretty much a Bato movie?
No, not yet.
Oh, okay.
No,
never mind.
Yeah.
No, I'm just getting into the fact that it's so quotey.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
okay.
so referencey
Right.
and not in a like normal way.
Yeah. Okay, continue.
Yeah. But so they walk into this police station because the central idea of the plot is that Bato is investigating a geisha robot that freaks the fuck out and murders a whole bunch of people. It's actually kind of what's part of the main storyline in the film adaptation of Ghost in the Shell.
Yeah.
And the geisha robots that they did
geishas
in the film robot,
look
dude, they
just
look
like them. They're
spot
on. Yeah.
Wonderful. I mean, there's a lot of stuff about that movie that is spot on.
Yeah.
Like the tank at the end.
Yeah, the tank scene and yeah.
It's So, but that's
I don't care what anybody says. That's a good movie.
It's not bad. It's not bad.
It's not bad.
Yeah.
It's not as bad as everyone says it is.
No, it really isn't.
Yeah. But anyway.
So
Form your own opinions, guys.
yeah, do it.
Even if you're
And I'm not just saying that to refute what they're saying. I mean, I'm saying that because I think that's a legitimate problem. These days.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Form your own opinions.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
Don't listen to us.
Form your
Go
own
watch
opinions.
these movies and see
Form your
what
own
you
opinions,
think.
even if they're wrong.
And if you disagree with us, that's fine. That's fine. So, they're investigating this geisha robot situation, and the whole deal is that Bato basically walked down a dark alleyway where this geisha robot had already murdered a bunch of people, and she says, "Kill me," to him.
Oh, yeah.
And then she rips apart her guts, and in that moment, because all of her openings, all of her doors just spray open, and all these like fake organs and things come out of her.
Doors.
Yeah, and in that one moment, Bato basically just reacts and puts slug into her.
Yeah.
Or no, he puts buckshot into her. That's right. So the local police have to wrap it up. They clean up the crime scene. He's got to go down to the police station to talk to him about the thing, and he's going to the coroner's office. That's the whole point of this. And when he walks in, there's this young detective that's kind of being a prick to both of them. Like I hate it when you cops come in here and you just you Section 9 come in here and swoop in on our stuff, and then they immediately throw a quote at him, and that's even crows know not to pick at green persimmons, but as soon as they're ripe, you can guarantee that the bastards will be circling overhead. And all he's saying is, when it's getting time, go get it.
Yeah.
Everybody's gonna go get it when it's ripe.
When it's right.
Yeah. And it's his getting time.
So you better be on the ball.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, if you want this case, you need to step up. But too bad, I'm taking it. So then he goes.
Come at me, fool.
So then, in that situation, they step. Like I said, just happened. A quote, a really obscure quote that reading that translated did not come through properly. Then they directly walk into the elevator. At which point, he says, I hate jerk cops like that. Which Bato says to him, you cannot blame the mirror when it's your own face that is obscured.
Oh, yeah.
Again, slightly misquoted, okay? And then I really want to say that he replies to him with another quote.
Oh,
at
yeah.
that point,
Well, Tokusa and Bato are
the
constantly
whole time.
just back and forth, constantly throwing little philosophical quotes, stuff like. And that's something that is I kind of like a lot more than the first movie, is that it is a lot more heady and philosophical and just kind of over the top philosophical than the first one.
Almost to the point where you could call it pretentious.
To a degree.
But I don't care.
Yeah.
I just don't care.
It's still really good.
Yeah, and but the philosophy ends up becoming a lot deeper than just the quotes they're throwing around.
Oh, yeah.
There's a bigger thing going on, and I think that's part of the reason why Ghost in the Shell has hit me over time is like once they get to the coroner's office, Hadley, who is the coroner there, she Haraway, that's her name.
Yeah.
She's she talks about Descartes, and it's one of the things that stuck in my mind throughout every sci-fi about androids or anything. It's this idea that apparently Descartes had a young daughter. That daughter died, and he replaced the daughter with a porcelain doll, which he named after her, and treated like it was his daughter. And Descartes, being the high-minded individual that he was, didn't treat this as madness. He taught it. It was a catharsis.
Yeah.
And he understood that. And he understood what he was doing. But then he had this breakdown where he thought, well, what the fuck is the difference between this doll and my actual daughter if it still gives me the same feelings? Ooh. So then that becomes like a central theme for me throughout every bit of AI, every bit of android science fiction out there. Every bit of it has this one string, and that string is the nature of Ghost in the Shell. It's the nature of Blade Runner. It's the nature of all of these movies. It's what is the real difference between this and them? Is there even a real difference? Yeah. And they talk about it so much in this movie. It's like it's a hill that I had to climb, because when I first watched it, I just didn't absorb a lot of the content. I only absorbed the main story. Yeah. But now that I have, it's such a complex film. The other thing is, Ghost in the Shell is always known for the Major. Oh yeah. And the Major. Right. I mean, spoiler cast, so whatever. Only appears in the very end of the movie, and only kind of. Not, she remote uplinks into a body. She isn't. Yeah, you don't even hear her voice at all. Like you do. Well, you do. You do it one. A couple times. Yeah, she has a couple of lines
where she's talking about him,
and she's basically saying that my bandwidth. Or the memory in this geisha robot isn't enough to house my entire AI, so I pretty much just downloaded logistics and fighting systems. So you're just gonna have to deal with it, like that kind of thing.
I didn't download empathy or manners.
That's right. Yeah, and its focus around Bateau at first was, of course, off-putting, because everybody loves, the sexy robot lady.
And two, I mean, like, at that point, you hadn't really seen anything without the Major.
And so immediately when the film started, I was like, well, this is weird. And then it kept going, and I was like, Bateau is kind of a deeper character than the Major.
Oh, yeah.
I love Bateau. I love that he lifts weights.
Yeah, totally. Has no reason to at all. Yeah. One of my favorites from the series.
And has a basset hound.
Yeah, he loves that basset hound. Dude, he's got this it's like it looks like it's a shock or a strut for like a tank.
Oh yeah.
And he's just holding that in his arms, and he just got it shipped in, and she's like picking on him or something like that. Like why do you even bother to work out? He's like, I don't know, it just feels good. And he's pressing this fucking piston in. It's like as big as his torso, But yeah, Bateau is a lot more human of a character than the Major. Yeah. The Major has lost her humanity. And
she's checked out by the first movie.
And you get glimpses of who she used to be in the series, especially in the second gig.
Little snippets.
But Bateau, he loves that girl. Mm-hmm. And at the same time, he never crosses the line. No. He's always there for her. Mm. So he misses her so much. And that's the funniest thing about the end, is that it's like she's come back and she's like, all right, it's my time. I'll help you out. I just wanted to say hey. Yeah. I miss you too, buddy. Yep. But like, Ishikawa is also a big figure in this one. And Ishikawa has always been my favorite charter out of Ghost in the Shell. Because he's the man in the chair. Yeah. As they say in Spider-Man Homecoming. Yeah. I want to be the man in the chair.
And I love Izukawa in this movie, because you definitely get to peer into...
You see how much of a badass he is in this movie.
You really do. Well, like, and on that, I know we've talked about this scene before, but when he's driving Bateau home, Yeah.
He tells him to get the dog food thing?
Yeah, and he's just like, hey, get the dog food. And he's just like, well, you go to the store every night, you get some dog food.
Yeah, you need to pick a different dog food.
You're too predictable.
Yeah, well, this is the only store that sells this dog food.
Yeah.
And, I'm not going to get my dog lesser food. That's pretty much what he's saying. He's like, because he loves his puppy so much.
Right, but Ishikawa is pretty much saying, it's just like, look, if someone wanted to find you,
they could.
And follow you and fuck you up, they could. You're too predictable.
And they do.
Yeah. And they do.
They do. And
which like is such a awesome subtle character building moment like for Ishikawa.
Yeah.
Cuz like it's not like you wouldn't think that he would think about that stuff, but like just saying that instead of just explaining, hey, I'm fucking paranoid as shit. Him telling Bato, hey, maybe you need to be a little bit more paranoid than you already are. Just really, really builds that character into like a more fleshed out. And
you can tell Ishikawa is like he's like the father figure of Section 9, and you kind of don't realize it because I mean, although the old man, come on, why can't I think of his name? Oh my God, how can I?
Aramaki.
How do you? I feel like an asshole here. But yeah, Aramaki. Which, by the way, the live Kitano in the live action.
Oh yeah.
I don't care what anybody says. That shit is great.
Yeah.
Man, he is great.
He is hype as
Ooh. But like, Aramaki is like the grandfather. So he's always like kind of disappointed in everybody, but he really is proud of everybody. He just doesn't let them know. But Ishikawa, on the other hand, is like daddy. Like, oh, Dad, I'm stuck. Come get me. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
He's the guy. He's
I
the
need
guy.
This.
He's the guy for the major.
Oh yeah.
Like, although Bato's the muscle and Bato's always there for her, Ishikawa's the one that always pulls him out of the shit.
Oh yeah.
Always, man.
Every time.
And he does it so well in this film too. And he's,
because Ishikawa is always a few steps ahead. He's already looking for the thing that they're gonna need before they even ask for it.
See, I love that in the series because they'll be chatting about something and he's like, "Oh yeah, here, I already got this for you, Major. I'm sending that to you right now." So the things that really get me with this one, number one, very much a film noir.
Oh, 100%. It's definitely a
cop drama, film noir, man.
Yeah, very much a detective story.
And beyond that, it also has probably one of the most psychedelic moments that I can really think of.
Oh, where they're on that bridge?
And it repeats?
Yeah.
Because, like, he's stuck in a time loop at the end. It's the same thing that happens at the end of Doctor Strange.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because he basically puts a dude in a time loop.
Yeah. I can't remember his name.
Yeah. He's from Marvel vs. Capcom. He was
big head cosmic man.
Yeah, big cosmic man. The Long Walker. The black and white man.
The windy man.
Cosmic man.
Dormammu. It's Dormammu.
Oh,
yeah. It's Dormammu. Yeah, because like he puts Dormammu in a time loop, and that's pretty much what happens with the guy in Ghost in the Shell 2. He goes to this guy's manor, and then once he like enters the room, he's hacked he's hacked Bato and put him in a fucking loop.
Yeah,
and it takes a while for him to get out of it, and that's kind of scary to me.
Oh yeah. Just to be in a mental loop
forever.
Yeah, forever. Yeah.
Yeah, because I've had, like I said, psychedelic experiences that put you in a situation where you're like, oh, this feels like a loop. This feels like a loop.
Yeah.
What if that happened forever? Oh my God,
I will say the animation in this is
top notch.
It's absolutely beautiful,
and it's one of the first full on like CG and animation like melding movies that I can think of that did it in such a smooth way that sometimes you can't tell the difference between, There
are definitely small parts, like cars. Like some of the cars don't look quite right or kind of pop out of the scene a little more than they should. But like for the most part, like all the way through, I mean,
looks consistent. Yeah,
completely consistent.
But in general, though, I feel like Ghost in the Shell 2 is kind of the underdog of potentially the entire series. And I just have to talk about it.
I can say that, first of all, it's one that I need to go back and rewatch because I've only seen it once, and I was extremely hungover. It was New Year's Day, and this was back when like I actually drank alcohol. So I drank way too much.
A state to watch this movie.
No, dude. Yeah, I mean, like it was okay. Like I got so hammered that I passed out in the bathroom in there, like on the stoop to get into the shower, like hunched over. So, like all day long, it felt like my lower back was so fucking compressed. It was horrible.
Yeah.
So I mean, I really couldn't even concentrate on the movie because I was like, I just feel like absolute garbage. So. Definitely need to rewatch it. And I remember when it came out because I was at Anime Week in Atlanta and they were advertising for it. Like they were giving out posters for it. I used to have a poster for it. But that's one of those things too. I also remember at the time, like, you know, and I don't know if it's just because, this isn't the first movie. You know, there's a lot of exposition, so normal people are like, whatever. You know, there aren't. You know, the major's not in there, and people's heads aren't blowing up.
Yeah,
exactly.
You know,
exactly,
people were kind of shitting on it.
This is much more of a talking movie, and not that the first one didn't have a lot of dialogue, but there were definitely a lot more action sequences.
Okay, so there's the scenes in the first movie where like Motoko starts getting really into, you know, like herself, like when they're on the boat.
Yeah.
Those are few and far between in the first movie.
Yeah.
Like, they're just, like, little snippets of here and there.
Yeah.
Most of the second film is that.
Yeah.
And that's what I'm saying about it being on risking being pretentious. Like, it really is.
Well, it's just a lot headier.
It's a lot headier. And I could see people that don't care about philosophy or don't want that in a movie being like, come on, they're just jerking off. They're just, you know, saying a bunch of shit. Like, and I just don't feel that way. And it needs to be said.
Yeah.
To the community, watch this movie.
Yeah, 100%.
Give it a shot. So
definitely worth it.
And the continuation of the original theme that is in the second one, because it's pretty much just like a part 2 of the same song. Making of the Cyborg Part 2, I think it's actually called.
Yeah.
Funny enough. Just wonderful. Absolutely wonderful.
Oh, yeah.
So edit this out, but we kind of have a little bit of an issue apparently. My disc is actually getting full, and I have 20 minutes left of space.
Okay. So did you have another?
I actually don't, but I was just going to talk about Dead Leaves because we mentioned it earlier.
Oh yeah.
So, and that's a short movie, so I could wrap that up really quickly.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Sweet.
All right. So, for my final pick, it's not actually what I intended to talk about, which was Tokyo Godfathers, but like I said, I didn't watch it. So, the aforementioned Dead Leaves, I'm going to give you guys a quick rundown of. It's
Which is that Gynax?
Somebody look it up real quick because I want to
look it up.
Yeah. So, Dead Leaves is it's like I said, it's like 50 minutes long. It's like, and it's nonstop action. Basically, what ends up happening is a couple break out of a prison that's on the moon. They go down to Earth, which Earth is really like animated hilariously.
That's production
like,
IG.
That's so cool.
Fucking production IG.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
It looks like it's Gynax, but okay.
Yeah.
It looks Gynax and Trigger as fuck.
Yeah.
Yeah, dude, for real.
Yeah.
So everybody's like, all the humans.
and Studio Bones had a hand in that. Too.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Like, so they, like I said, they break out of this prison on the moon. They go down to the Earth and they just start rampaging. Like, I want to say they they wake up naked, don't they?
Yeah.
Like, they wake up naked on the moon and they're just like, let's go fuck shit up.
Mm-hmm.
So they just go down to Earth and like steal a car and start blowing shit up. And, they're causing havoc. And then they get thrown into this prison. And once they get into the prison, it's like a hyper supermax crazy moon prison. And there's
where they'd send Riddick.
Yeah, exactly. And there's like, of course, obviously a bunch of crazy prisoners there because, you don't end up on a supermax prison without being, batshit crazy.
Yeah.
Just like people that wake up naked on the moon are like, let's go blow shit up.
Yeah.
So,
I love that movie. Like the art style is extremely unique. The way that the characters are animated, like you were said, it was kind of more of a reduction of art.
Reductionist, absolutely.
Yeah,
There's a lot of stuff that does that.
It has its points, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but it's so stylized and like you said, it's nonstop action.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, like as soon as they get off the moon, and like it's nothing but just crazy absolute fun and mayhem.
Yeah.
So basically that's like part A, they go blow shit up, then part B, they're in prison and they're trying to obviously get out of the prison.
Yeah,
and
obviously.
there's these two super soldiers, which are named 666 and 777.
Yeah.
Which are they're like genetically modified superhumans, so they're like crazy powerful, and they're like the enforcers of the prison that they have to fight against. And then so the final part of the movie is they fight them or whatever, and then they're basically fighting the warden, who's if I remember correctly, it's like a little girl, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a little girl, and don't the couple don't they end up having a baby, and that's who saves them?
Yeah, it's like a baby,
who rapidly ages,
ages and turns into a giant caterpillar at some point. Doesn't it do that? Yeah.
Anyway,
yeah,
fucking watch it, okay? It's worth seeing.
It's beautiful insanity.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah.
Well, guys, what we got how much time?
About 15 minutes.
About 15 minutes. Well, okay. So my last movie is Akira. And I know that's really cliche, but honestly, this was the first anime I ever watched. This was something that came on Saturday Anime, and my brother taped it and kind of woke me up in the middle of the night and was just like, hey, come in my room, you gotta watch this. It's this is animation from Japan. This is an animated movie from Japan. And that blew my mind. For some, I was
from
young.
Japan.
I was young enough to where I was just like, what? This, other countries do stuff?
You mean those guys that made the Super Nintendo?
Yeah, exactly.
Made a cartoon.
I like those guys.
And like I said, I grew up with cartoons and I grew up watching these other shows, but I never ever put it together that they were from somewhere else.
Oh,
you know? And this was the first time that anime actually registered in my head. And I have to say, to this day, this is my absolute favorite anime film of all time.
Man.
To this day. And again, I recently watched it. Animation holds up perfectly. Whether you're watching the original dub or the original
it's
Japanese,
so stylized, man.
Yeah, well, they did more frames per second and way more animated.
So it's
frames.
also part of a bygone style.
Yeah,
exactly, absolutely,
exactly. And like I was telling,
but
Levi,
you're right. The animation is so smooth because of all the frames.
Because of all
so
the
many
frames. So many frames. But when I was watching it before, is something I never really picked up on or ever put together is just the smoke and the atmosphere and the little particles in the air.
That's actually the shit that gets me the most.
Yeah.
Is when the city's on fire, when the riots are happening and stuff like that, and you see
attention to detail.
The attention to detail, exactly. Or at the end when the Akira is actually writhing and
when
Tatsuo's
Tatsuo's turning into the big
to
blob
the
baby.
I mean, isn't that what you call it at that point? The Akira?
The Akira.
You could kind of call it that?
I guess.
Because, it is the mutation, right?
Yeah.
Right?
I guess.
Honestly, dude, that's one of those, I don't have the full collection of the manga. I missed out on buying the re-release when it was still $150 because now it's, way too expensive. Yeah. But, yeah, because obviously that's 6 omnibus volumes of story that got condensed into a movie.
Yeah,
so,
pretty much.
Well,
the movie was being made. It was made by the same Otama.
Katsuhiro
Otama. Yeah, he was made by the same. It was directed by the same dude, and he was actually still writing the manga when the movie had come out. And what he said in an interview one day is that the ending of the film, the ending of the manga hadn't been set in stone yet, and the ending of the film actually influenced the end of the manga.
I had no idea. That's insane.
So, essentially, it's the same. It's pretty much the same story. It's just a very condensed version.
Yeah, and that was my point. Is it was condensed. So
yeah.
I mean, I want to understand it in its entirety because it's one of those that
there's still foggy moments.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. And it's a really interesting world, and really great characters.
So let me ask you this, Scott.
Yeah,
you said something to me day before yesterday, that I really want you to explain.
Oh,
you said that you figured out.
Oh, I have an opinion on the subtext.
Oh yes. So what's up?
Okay. So if you watch Akira, you notice that. So takes place in Neo Tokyo. The main characters are pretty much teenagers, turning into adults. Tetsuo is going from a regular kind of wimpy little kid to like this all-powerful being, you know. And to me, the subtext of the story is change and how brutally painful it can be, but how necessary it is as well. And that's
Wow.
the last time I watched that movie is really kind of the message that I got from it. Of course, there are other things, you know, and I'm probably reading too much into it.
When you say that, I'm thinking about Tetsuo's head splitting and like getting bigger.
Help,
and while that's happening, just the theme song. I don't even know what it is, but it's that I'm going through changes.
What's that one song in the movie? It sounds like a cowboy that's out of breath. You know, da da yeehaw.
Yeah. I don't know. There's a lot of that movie though.
That's the clown boss's theme right there.
Oh.
Da da yeehaw, da da yeehaw.
Oh yeah, I do remember that. I always thought of it as a horse, but okay, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, so like the music in that, by the way,
which I will say that album, that's some damn good driving music.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
Well, so I don't know who did the drums. I don't know who did the percussion on that, but dude, it sounds like Akira Jimbo.
Yeah, that'd be really funny.
There's a lot of stuff where I'm like, I don't know, man. That could be him. And I mean, he was one of the premier drummers at that time for Japan. And it'd be real funny if they were like, "Hey, Akira, you want to be on this movie, Akira?"
Well, the soundtrack is essentially like mostly like, you know, big drums, xylophones, and throat singing.
Absolutely, yeah. A lot of throat singing.
A lot of throat
singing.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
But I absolutely love this movie. It's my all-time favorite anime. I've loved it from the first time I've seen it, and every time I watch it, it gets better. And I'd love to go in more depth with it, but we seem to be running out of time. So let's just wrap it up, guys. Phil, did you have anything as far as like the occasionally relevant gaming show you want to do?
Yeah, it's occasionally going to happen.
Okay. All right.
But actually, I do have one more thing I wanted to say. Just real quick, watch Redline.
Oh yeah,
it's fun as hell, and it's another Madhouse movie.
Yeah,
yeah.
And that's another like F-Zero the anime.
F-Zero the anime, yeah, and it's great. It's fucking great. And his promoter like does this like point in the face the whole time while he's talking to him, and does all this so like while he's talking to him, he's doing all this wild animation. It's God, spit flying everywhere and all this. Yeah. His mechanic has like an extra arm, like it's so good. And he has like that like Jotaro like
super pompadour,
pump, except it's like even more extended, like you know,
Omega pump.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, but yeah, what you got, Levi?
One of these days, I'm going to get around to actually editing that first episode we already recorded for the Very Glorious Music podcast. And then we need to continue doing that.
Yes. Yeah, that was a lot of fun. So looking forward to when that's like up online.
Hey, I still haven't put the gaming one up.
Yeah. You guys are
lazy.
Yeah. Work in progress. Progress.
Well, guys, if you want to contact the show, the Mad Cinemists, we have a Gmail account, madcinemists@gmail.com. Check us out on YouTube. Check us out on Facebook. Leave comments for topics. The whole thing. Interact with us. If you like us, like and subscribe and follow us on Facebook. If you don't like us, hit the thumbs down. At least that gives us a
gauge.
Another reason to hate myself.
Levi, it was awesome having you here.
Oh, it was so much fun. Seriously,
I really want you to come back on more episodes. Just whenever.
Hey, that video game episode we were talking about.
Yeah, well,
definitely.
And also, I think it'd be really cool if we all watched these movies we're talking about. Yeah. And came back for another episode, maybe 10 down the line or something.
Yeah.
That'd be really
cool. See, I was thinking about doing another anime so many episodes. Why not? So, but anyways, guys, thanks for joining us. Everybody, say goodbye.
Listen to Hakujin, assholes.
Yeah,
Bye.
Bye. Bye, guys.